We're live. Here's the theme of our show.
Welcome to the Fred Stoller Stream with your hosts, Fred Stoller and Cody Shank.
Would. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Oh, man.
It's guess he's busy with the Greek theater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe they don't know. It's raining, so he's probably off tonight. Actually, I'm going to turn the heat off in a minute. I got to... So, Cody... Excuse me. Let me see. I got something in the mail today.
Mm-hmm.
My pin...
Your pin. Oh, yes, your pin. It's the...
I just saw the guy I have on YouTube. I have to pay $100 if I say his name. Now I got some complaints. I won't say who. That
Really?
this podcast is a little too gossipy and I'm too negative. So I gotta do better. So okay, review base terms done. Set up AdSense for YouTube done.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a review is in progress. So I'll ask someone what that means. I'm going to turn the heat off. Wait 1 second, okay? All right. Now it got too hot and dry.
Yeah, I feel I got to get some water. This is just, the stream is just us, sweating and drying out, and it's like a desert. All right. Let's just get this set up.
Okay. I turn the heat off. Let me come back. Let me put on the chat, see who's here.
Yes.
Okay. No one has. Okay, Scarlett. It's
Scarlett.
not nearly. Hey, we got some few people I don't recognize. The dreaded atmosphere river. What do you mean? Hello, Chad and Scarlett and Cigarette Jones. We got a lot of comments. All right.
We do.
Yes. Oh, well, your reaches. Did you tell people to watch this, Darren? Who are you people? Okay.
Who are you people?
So I've said this before. Illustrators like Cody very often are very good at voices. I guess because you grow up just loving cartoons and doing the voices with your sibling or yourself. Is that an assessment?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
A lot of
pretty much.
I did a show at Magiswords, and they got created. It's very good, did voices and a bunch of others. I did a show called Close Enough by the guy who created the regular show, and his voice was just himself. But yeah,
that's
so you just like as a kid you would watch it and do the voices back.
Yeah, we'd watch the like Rocky and Bullwinkle was one of them, definitely, and then we would mimic it and do our own, kind of like a parody of the characters' voices, and sometimes it's other like live action too. So it's like sitcoms from the '60s, like here's you in different ages.
That's pretty good. I still got it at 60, according to this.
You do?
Yes.
Look at that. Cary Grant.
You invited Craig Shoemaker, Corey Ryan, Forrester, Dan Pasternak, Paul Provenza. All right, I'm not optimistic Provenza will join. He's like the coolest guy. He had this thing it was, I forgot what it was called, where Tim Robbins had a theater group in LA, Culver City. And I went to one show. And I'm on the same time as Brennan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me see.
This is like,
Yeah, we're competing with Kevin Brennan.
we are.
Oh my God!
So we have to do something crazy to get.
Something I got to start yelling at Cody.
Yeah. maybe we could do like a draw.
Oh, let me see.
Maybe.
Let me see. Let me send him the link. This guy's a great guy.
Sure.
Let me send.
I'm opening up the files, so hang in there, everybody. I got in a little late. And I'm just.
I think we're gonna get a special guest.
Oh, very good. Looking forward.
Okay, so Provenza. What was the thing that Provenza ran? Not the green room. It's a theater group. We're all the Dana Gould people, Eddie Pepitone, all the I'll call them hipsters, and Maria Bamford. Not the green room. It was hey Mike. It was I was asking Mike Starr to be on it tonight, but it was too last minute. But I got someone else. I'm trying to find the link. Paste. And let me find it. And so then I heard not comics only. It wasn't a TV show. It was a theater group that Tim Robbins. Anyway, I ran into Lorraine Newman at the WTF farewell thing, and I guess her daughter is, on the show Hacks, the star of it. So she's recently said she was influenced by Dana Gould, Maria Bamford, that they all went to she went with her mother, Lorraine Newman, and got to know all these people and was influenced. And she's so all right, let me just send this one out and then we're gonna take a break from Substack stories and finally finish this long thing called Christmas in Florida.
Yes.
And Hannah. Yes. So I love the rain, man. Any excuse to lie in bed all day with my cats. The pitter patter on the sunroof. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Kelly Carlin was part of Provenza's crew. He just had like once every few months, like some show with sketches and edgy people and stuff like that with Kelly Carlin.
Show had
sketches, edgy people. Yes, I started watching Hacks and I'm enjoying it, but my sister, I won't say badgering me, but she wants me to watch The Beast. The Beast, is it called The Beast? The Bear. And I'm resistant to it, but I told her to watch this show, Murdoch, a Murder in the Family. So let's see if my friend makes it on sale. Yes. Oh, yeah. I loved it. Yes. I loved Darren has sent some great stuff. He's a very funny guy. But that I think Cody disappeared.
Sorry, Fred. I was washing my hands. I forgot when I came back
from work.
From work.
Hey, badass mother hugger. She's a big fan of Cody's, very supportive on our Instagram. So
Yes.
Badass, I forgot your real name. We're taking a break from the Substack stories. I finally said, we did a really rough thing, and then I kind of went away for a while, saying, "Oh, it's going to take too long, and it's going to be in a film festival." But I really think this story needs to be done animated with audio, and it'll take a long time. So that's what we're doing. This to make a long story short, it starts off well, Thanksgiving's coming up with I used to be lucky and go to for like Amanda, like 15, 20 years, all of not 15 years, Fred Willer's Thanksgiving parties. You'd have
Mhm.
people, Joe and Worley from Laughing, and all these oddballs. And then yeah, go with the flow. That's part of the creative thing. Like I kind of tried this other thing, and it just felt like the stories I just get 3 likes on each one, and I love the stories we were telling. But again, I rewatched this thing I abandoned and said, let me return to this and just let it be its own thing, not be part of in the story, uh w- basically we go to Florida in this cheap motel and stay there, and all it was every night was playing bingo. So yes, I think this will be fully animated. It's going to be, hey, we got Saul. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Now, Cody, I don't know if you're familiar with what we do, Cody. I mean, Saul, but Cody is an amazing young guy who illustrates these stories, and we're doing an animated one about spending Thanksgiving with the Willards and when I almost drowned in Florida and Miami. It's a quirky, funny, sad story. Now, now Cody's a young guy, but he has all the sensibility because he watched all the, shows with his parents, Green Acres, they're around my age, Gomer Pyle. So you have written classic stuff. Saul is part of the farmers market table, which it started with Paul Mazursky and Chuck McCann and Jack Riley and George Siegel, and sadly a lot of them are gone. And I didn't know, and I want to learn about you because I just know mostly the Smothers Brothers. You ran that, but you started with Ron Clark from Canada, and it became the Farmers Market table because you worked on the Danny Kaye show next to Farmers Market. Is that true?
That's true. Actually, I was there on the first year. I did Danny Kaye.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
That's cool.
and that was done in Television City, where
Yeah.
people like me from the 70s would know from All the Family, from Television City in Hollywood songs that made the hit parade. So that was so. What other shows were done in that? What was the start of Television City? What were some big things done there?
I think originally they had the Red Skelton show. They had there was a lot of shows. I got there in 1963,
Wow.
and by that time, and Danny Kaye, and actually, while we were doing Danny Kaye, in the next studio was Judy Garland.
Oh my God! Did you ever cross paths with her?
Yeah, she used to. We used to just walk in, and I didn't spend much time with her, but we'd walk in, and a friend of mine, Norman Jewison, was the
Norman
executive.
Jewison was a big director.
Actually, Norman Jewison in Canada gave me my first job in television.
What was that?
I did a show called The Barris Beat. It was a late night comedy show.
Well, now Norman Jewison, now if I'm not wrong, did he do what? Don't tell me it's a Mad World.
No, he did Cincinnati Kid. He did
Jesus Christ, a Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, Fiddlers. Yeah.
I get it. Who am I getting him confused with? Who did It's a Mad World? Who kind of did somber? God, who did, It's a Mad Mad World, who wasn't a comedy director, but Norman Jewison, I know, Cincinnati Kid, what else, Saul?
In the Heat of the Night.
Oh my God, that's why I confuse him with whoever did. Stanley Kramer. I don't know why I'm getting him confused with Stanley Kramer. They both did like kind of political heavy
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
My God. So now, you worked with Ron. You know him. You came from. Did you know Ron in Canada, or you came?
No. I knew of Ron, but I never met him. And because actually I started working at the CBC in television. Ron did not. Ron went directly to New York and started writing for comics.
Yes. So you now, again, Saul is a great guy. Actually, you live on my old block, Spalt. I don't want to say, but not
Yeah.
that it matters. But and now I'm here and I'm loving the rain. So you're a great guy, but I never really got your chronology. I mean, you have amazing stories, but now I'm going all over the place. When Judy Garland had her show, this was how many years after the Mickey Rooney years and Wizard of Oz?
That was 1963.
And what year was the Wizard of Oz?
The Wizard of Oz was way back, I think, in the 1930s, 1938, 39.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was she kind of troubled when you see her?
She'd had a lot of problems at the time, and CBS decided to take a chance and put her on. And the original producer on that show was George Slaughter.
Who I know from Laugh-In.
And George did the first 6 shows, and he was not about to take any crap from her, so she didn't like him, so they had to fire him. Actually, and the shows that he did the first 6 shows, I thought were the best ones.
I'm sure I could find this on YouTube, huh? The Judy Garland show?
I'm sure you could.
Yes. Wow. So who else would you see around the offices there?
Red Skelton was shooting across. Actually, when I was doing the Smothers Brothers, our neighbors were next door to us was Carol Burnett.
Oh wow!
Wait. So where's the Smothers Brothers shot?
CBS, Television City.
So when did that go away? I'm guessing.
Wait, CBS Television City stopped about 8 years ago.
No, but I mean sitcoms and stuff and variety show, because I, in the 90s and 2000s did a lot of guest spots on sitcoms, and I worked everywhere. Did we lose Saul?
Oh,
I think we lost him. Let's see if he could come back. Oh, all right. He's going to ask about Leslie Uggams.
let me check.
Let's see. But yeah, he's got amazing stories.
That's amazing. So he's a show runner or like a.
Well, I want to get the story. I only knew him when he came to the table a few years ago.
Mhm.
He as the guy who produced the Smothers Brothers, but I guess he started as a comedy writer. Let's hope we can get him back.
Yeah, sorry, you got knocked off there.
What do you think happened?
I don't know.
I'll send him the link again. Is that him coming back?
Yeah.
Hey, are you okay?
Yes, I am. I don't know what I did, but I'm illiterate when it comes to these things. Anyway.
Oh my God. Well, now we're going to a little place. Someone just asked about Leslie Uggams. Did you work with Leslie Uggams?
Yeah, I did Leslie Uggams' show. I produced her first. She was the first Black young lady to do a variety show.
Wow. What I was saying about CBS television is when I started working on sitcoms, they were mostly doing Price is Right, soap operas, game shows, late night shows. So they kind of stopped using that as for sitcoms.
Yeah, but that was after the fact. I produced. I was called in, and I didn't want to do it, but I produced the Merv Griffin late night show when he was in trouble.
What do you mean he was in trouble?
When the show wasn't doing well in New York. So they called me and asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said no. And then, because I was working in London at the time, and Merv flew out to London. and we talked, and I said, okay. And I said, I'll do it if you move the show from New York to Los Angeles.
And you had the power as a producer to do that. Wow.
Yeah. At the time, well, and my background was, I did a lot of comedy shows. I produced a lot of shows. And then I was vice president of comedy over at NBC for 3 years.
You were
the
vice
80s.
president of comedy at NBC?
Development, yeah. Comedy, late night, variety shows, specials.
What era was that? What years?
1980 to 83. I made a deal.
Comedy.
Yeah.
I remember on Carson, they always made jokes about the train, like the big fiasco. What was that thing? The super train?
Super Train. Now, what terrible! That was before my time. Brett Silverman put it on the air, and it was a disaster. Spent a lot of money doing it, but it didn't work.
So, what are some shows you developed?
Well, I was there when we developed Give Me a Break. We just started to develop Cheers when I was about to leave.
Wow.
Wow.
My God. I mean, yeah. So did you start as a comedy writer or?
I started as a writer in Canada. And when I was there, a lot of American acts would show up, and then he recommended me. And I went to New York, and I did one of my early shows. I did a show with Bing Crosby and Maurice Chevalier.
My God.
Wow.
This guy is amazing because you're so quiet at the table. The loudmouths talk, but you and Ron Clark, who's from Canada, have amazing. Ron Clark, who he co-wrote a lot of Mel Brooks movies. He was
he did.
He was in a very memorable part in High Anxiety, and I think he ran a show, Bridget and Bernie.
Yes.
Which was kind of, I don't know if it was a big deal. You see, back in my era, and I'm a little younger than Saul, but I'm still old, is even if a show only went 5 or 6 episodes, if in your seminal years, it stays with you because there wasn't 800 channels and streaming and cable. So even though Bridget and Bernie wasn't a hit, it was like the first show that had a, not interracial, but interreligious.
It was kind of a takeoff of A.B.'s Irish Rose. Remember the old Broadway show back in the 30s?
No.
They did a show called A.B.'s Irish Rose about a Jewish guy and an Irish girl.
Sounds like Stiller and Mira.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And okay. Scarlett, she wants a rundown of the farmers market table. Well, through the history, it's been everyone. Like I said, I grew up loving Jack Riley on Bob Newhart. Did you ever meet him or work with him?
Yeah, I knew Jack Riley very well. Sure, and I knew Newhart.
Yes. Oh my God.
You know, I worked with Newhart, Rickles. I think I worked with a lot of these guys. You know, because I did a lot of variety shows through the years, and you know. And, and even, if you remember when we did the Smothers Brothers, we got into trouble with President Johnson. And
yes,
we got into trouble with Nixon.
Now, tell me, did you sorry to go all over the place, but you once told at the table, you got a call. Was it from the president or someone from the president's office?
Oh, no. What happened was that we had done a sketch on the Smothers Brothers. And I think we had Jim Backus and Nanette Sabre. And we did a sketch about the president of the United States and the fact that he was outraged because he found out that the Russians were 10 years ahead of us in barbecue sauce. So what happened? But we didn't know that the president's children loved the show. They watched it every Sunday.
Wait, was this Nixon or Johnson?
Johnson.
Okay, then they did. I'm going for. Then Nixon did appear during his campaign on the Smothers Brothers.
No, we did Nixon. We're also on the Nixon tapes.
What?
Yes, they cursed us. I forgot his name. Who was Nixon's #1 man? He said the bastards, we got to get them.
Oh my God!
Because we used to do a thing where we called them Nixon, and people would write in and say, it's Nixon. Anyway, so that's we did so we got into trouble with Johnson, and the president came home. I was out that night. The children were upset, and they spoke to their dad, and they told him what happened. And supposedly he was so irate that he woke up Bill Paley at 3:00 in the morning and said, "Get those bastards off my back."
And
So I
so
got a
you had to
call.
take a call from Bill Paley.
Yeah,
was-
so I got a call about 8 o'clock in the morning, next morning, which was we were on Sunday nights, and this was Monday morning, and I got a call that says you have to go to New York to meet with the chair. They called him the chairman, Mr. Paley. And they said, and I said, I'm not going to New York. If he wants to fire me, let him fire me now. I'm not going to go to New York to get fired. And Perry Lafferty said, no, you have to go on the phone, and we already have a reservation for you. You're on a plane at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Car's going to pick you up. So we went to New York. I met with Mr. Paley, I swear. And the first
Why
thing
couldn't you just do a phone conversation?
he didn't want you had to be there in person.
Uh-huh.
He wanted to meet for us to come there. And when I got there, the first thing he said to me is, "What are the Smothers Brothers really like?"
That is amazing.
And I told, and he asked me, "Do me a favor. I don't appreciate being awakened by the crazy president at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do me a favor." And we were doing very well at the time, so he didn't want to. We were almost equal to Bonanza, and nobody could do it. So he said, "Please just lay off. And if there's anything I can do for you," and I said, "Yes, there is. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. If I have to go back to the brothers and say to lay off, I need something. And I want to put Pete Seeger back on television. And Pete has not been on in 13 years. And I knew him when he came to Toronto at the University of Toronto. And Mr. Paley said, you got the permission, put him on." So we put Pete
Wait, why did you?
back
Oh,
on
you needed his
television.
permission. I see.
We got Pete Seeger back on television after 13 years being banned. Our show got him back on the air.
Wait. I want. But Cody, one thing. Maybe we don't know if we're going to be committed to the title Christmas in Florida. So maybe
yeah.
for the meantime, skip ahead to the story and
Sure.
we'll go back to this. Wait. So Saul, I'm confused. So Pete Seeger was banned from TV.
Yeah, for being a communist during the McCarthy years.
Wow.
And they
Wow.
nobody could put him on the air. No, he couldn't go on television.
And you got him back on.
We got him after 13 years. Yeah, I called him. I knew Pete, and I said, "You're going to be on the show." He said, "You're kidding." I said, "Nope, you're on the show."
Now let me ask you, I want you to please tell, I love your Betty Davis story, but the thing that confuses me is you are such a sweet, humble man, and I can't picture you, yelling at people, get them on the phone, or dealing with these
I never did
powerful
that.
people. I thought the Betty, oh, I see.
I didn't, but I had great staff. I always hired in all the years. I did a lot of television shows, but I always made sure that we had every show had the senior writers and to work with the young kids. Every show, because I wanted to learn from them.
But I guess my impression of that era, people run shows with George Slaughter, and I got yelled at. What was that guy's name? He did the Dom DeLuise show. Dom DeLuise had a syndicated show where he would cut our hair, pretend, and we do our jokes. Greg Garrison, who was very gruff. You're not
Greg.
gruff.
Yeah. Greg was Greg was a strange guy. I mean, I only knew. See, when I was in Canada, I used to watch the credits of all the American writers. So when I came out there, I always knew their credits, but I didn't see their faces until I met them.
I see. And well, that's what I loved. I loved reading credits, like the Mary Tyler Moore writers, Sanford and Son. So please tell your Betty Davis dealing with the agent.
Oh no! What happened is with that. After we were on about 6 or 8 weeks, we had a very difficult time getting number one stars to come on the Smothers Brothers, because they put us on Sunday night opposite Bonanza, and nobody had seen that. There's not one show in CBS since Bonanza came in that could make it, and that's why we decided to do satirical comedy, because we figured we're only going to be on the air for 13 weeks, and who cares? And I saw a show in New York called That Was the Week That Was.
Sure, of course.
And it was played in London at the time, and they were doing it political satire. So we decided, let's do it. So we did the show, and I watched Johnny Carson one night, and Betty Davis was on the show. And Betty Davis, Carson said, "Have you ever done television?" She said, "No." He said, "Would you like to do television?" She said, "No, I would not." I said, wait a minute, that's not true. I would love to do the Smothers Brothers. They are so funny, et cetera, et cetera. And that was it. The next morning, I called her agent, Stan Kamen at William Morris. And I said, we want to book Betty Davis. And he started to laugh. He says, what, are you kidding? I said, no, we want to book her on the show. He said, she's not going to do your show. I said, well, she was on Carson the other night. And she said she would like to do this for me. He said, they talk, they say things. Don't forget about it. No. I said, well, can you take her an offer? He said, no. And he hung up on me. So I managed to get her home phone number. And I called her house. And somebody answered. I said, hello. I said, may I talk to Ms. Davis? She says, may I tell who's calling? And I said, my name is Saul Ilson. I'm the producer of the Smothers Brothers. And would I be able to talk to Ms. Davis? She said, one moment. A few minutes later, said, hello. There she was. And I said, Ms. Davis, I saw you on Carson. And were you kidding? I mean, were you serious? Would you like to do our show? She said, I'd love to. So I said, oh, okay, wow. Yeah. When do you want to do it? She said, well, tell me your schedule. I said, no, you tell me yours.
Wow.
And I'll make sure that we're available. Anyway, she gave me some dates. And I said, great. And and she said to me, she gave me another phone number, which was a private phone number. And she says, you can reach me on that number and we can discuss what I should be doing on the show. Anyway, that was it. And I called her agent back and I said, we just booked Betty Davis. They said, you did what? And I said, we booked Betty Davis. No, you didn't. I said, yeah, you spoke to her. He went crazy. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, you cannot promote her. You cannot say she's going to be on the show, and she'll only do a cameo. And I said, no. So I hung up. I called her back. And I said, I spoke to Stan Kamen. Said yes. And he said that we can't promote you, and that you can. And he only said that you're only going to do a cameo. And she said, horse shit. You send me the script, and I will do whatever you'd like.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow. I mean, now Jeff has a question, and I don't know who Mason Williams is.
Mason, great writer. We had him on Tommy Smothers. Brilliant.
Who is
guy.
Mason Williams?
He's a composer. He's a writer. He did classical jazz, a great piece. And he wrote the theme song for the Smothers Brothers.
Oh my! Well, you answered one of my questions. Like, I knew the Smothers Brothers through "Mom Always Loves You Best" and all that. And I go, how and why did they become political? Because their act was never political.
They never became political. The Smothers Brothers did "Mom Liked You Best." The reason they became political, rather, was because we decided to do that kind of stuff. When I was in London, I watched Sarah's Week that was, and they had a sketch where the Queen was addressing Parliament. And as she was speaking to Parliament, she did the splits slowly. And it was hysterical. So I thought, and the first thing we did was we did a number called McNamara's Band, and Tommy and Dickie were doing the number, and Tommy stops the number and says, I'm not singing the song anymore. Never again. And Timmy, what are you talking about? It's a good song. No. Do you know there's not one Jewish person in that band? So we ended up, they argued, of course, and we ended up with McNamara's Integrated Band. And that's what started us.
It's how many years was the Smothers Brothers on?
They were on 3. We did the first 2, and then we decided we didn't want to do anymore because we were going into something else, and they were canceled the 3rd year because things just got out of hand politically. They just didn't know, how far they can go.
I just realized I was incorrect. It was Laughing that Nixon did that little cameo on.
Yes.
Not the Smothers Brothers.
No, and that is Sakatumi.
Yes. Oh my God. And I mean, you've worked with every legend of that era.
Well, I did Bobby Darin. I did Doris Day's first special. I did Carol Channing and Pearl Bailey on Broadway, the 2 Dollies.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell a bad joke. When I first started going to the farmers market table, they didn't know who I was, but Paul Mazursky. Did you know Paul pretty well?
I worked with Paul.
That's right, on Danny Kaye.
Yeah.
Was he like loud and boisterous and wanting attention? And because that's
Not really. It's Tucker and Mazursky, and that was their first television show. I liked Paul a lot. Paul was assertive, and after I spent time with him after that, and of course, that's when he was Paul Mazursky.
he was intimidating, but he ended up liking me a lot. And you couldn't talk over him. You couldn't interrupt him. But I remember that I told a joke and only he heard it. Then he repeated it as if it was his own. Like my whoever is half black, half Japanese. Every December, whatever, she attacks Pearl Bailey.
That's funny. Funny joke.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Was it a D-Day? But no, Mazursky, I saw in a movie theater the movie Next Stop Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
And that was his story about how he broke into Blackboard Jungle. So that came on Turner Classic the other day. And just seeing Paul as a young guy was pretty amazing. As one of the hoodlums with Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my God. No, what I thought you had to be like to run a show like Greg Garrison or like George Slaughter is very kind of punching his fist and
No, you don't. I always found you didn't have to do that. I mean, I didn't because it was not my temperament. I was able to get what I needed. If I had to be what you call tough, I would call the star, and I had a lot of problems with stars, and I would just call them aside, and I explained the situation, and I'd say, for example, once with Tony Randall, I said, "Look, Tony, you're doing the show you'll be here rehearsing for 3 days rather," and I always did the show on Sunday, so I could get all
What show is this with Tony Randall?
This was Tony Orlando and Don.
What? I don't remember that one. Tony Orlando. Oh, Tony. I tell you, I got confused with Tony Randall.
Yeah, tie a yellow ribbon.
Of course. I thought you said Tony Randall.
Yeah, Tony was on the show, so I just called him aside and I said, you've been very disruptive, and I really respect you, and I want you to do this show, but we can't do this, Tony. If there's anything you don't like, let me know. I said, like Sears, your script is guaranteed for 30 days.
Oh, so he was difficult. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he didn't like anybody smoking in the room, which I understood. But sometimes, and he didn't like the co-star working with him.
Who is the co-star?
Whoever it was. Anyway, but I had Raymond. I'll tell you a quick anecdote. I had Raymond Burr was on the show on I forget what show it was, and because I worked on weekends, I had 3 daughters. I was never home, so I would bring one each Saturday for blocking day. I brought one of my kids with me so they can see what I was doing. So this week I brought my 8-year-old daughter Carrie on the show, and Raymond Burr just screamed at me when I walked in there. I never got the rewrite. And he really cut me a new one. And I said, "Look, Ray, I'm sorry this happened. I assumed you were going to get the rewrite, and believe me, I am. Look, I'll give you extra time to rehearse. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I am sorry." So he stomped off and he walked in and sat in the bleachers. And I'm going on with the show, and I turn around and I see my kid, 8 years old, sitting with him. Get a little closer. I'm listening, and I hear him say, "No, I love your father. No, your father and I are good friends. I was sick. No, I'm not a rude person. No, I did that." And I was sick last night. I was up all night. No. You ask your father. He and I are friends. This was not a good example.
Wow, my God.
So I went to her after. I said, "What did you say to him?" She says, "I walked up to him and said, 'You're not a nice person the way you treated my father.'"
Wow.
And he just dropped.
Well, now Jeff Crone brought up, we're coming on what would have been Bob Einstein's 83rd birthday, which makes me bring up that on the Smothers Brothers, they introduced a lot of people like Steve Martin, Pat Paulson, Bob Einstein. Like, who were some people that were introduced with the Smothers Brothers?
Rob Reiner.
He was brought up with the Smothers Brothers?
Yeah, he was started as a writer there.
I didn't know that. Yep. Obviously before All in the Family.
Yeah, of course.
And Steve Martin, he was a writer on the Smothers Brothers?
Yeah, he came on afterwards, yeah. And we introduced Pat Paulson.
That's right. That's right.
We met him Ernie and I saw him at the Ice House. He was working.
Yes.
What happened is that we went to look at another act at the Ice House, and we saw the act, and we were left. We were outdoors waiting for our car, and we kept hearing a lot of laughs. So we turned around and went back in, and it was Pat Paulson, and that's how Pat got on the Smothers.
Wow. Yeah, the Ice House. Yes. Whenever you go there, you see the pictures of Steve Martin, Pat Paulson.
Pasadena. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, Pasadena. My God, it's just amazing. And did you ever work in Florida with Gleason? And
No. I worked with Gleason on Tony Orlando and a couple of other shows, but no, I didn't get the chance to work there.
Because I heard he never rehearsed, nor did Dean Martin on their variety shows.
No. Well, Dean show was laid out in a way that all he had to do was watch the run through, and he didn't. And it was laid out in a way that he could just come down and read the cue card. But Gleason was the best on cue cards. First sight, perfect, unbelievable. And because Gleason never rehearsed.
That's what I heard. They were just playing golf all week.
Whatever he did, I don't know. But Art Carney used to tell me he used to have a heart attack because they do a sketch on their honeymooners, and Gleason would take off on a tantrum and leave the concept of the script, wandered all the way around, and Carney said, "My God, what am I going to do?" But he'd bring it all the way back to where the feed line was.
Wow. One of my regrets is when I first working on studio lots, I wasn't as into Hollywood history, and I didn't pay attention to what shows were on it. But now I was on a Nickelodeon show a few years ago, and also a Disney show, and you could look up on the internet what are the shows. So I liked the lot I was on was the what's it called? Where's Musso and Frank's? What's Las Palmas lot? It's a small lot, but I heard they did My Three Sons, Mr. Ed there, and it was heartwarming.
Gracie Allen, and was on that. They did that show there.
So you know the Las Palmas lot.
Yeah, Burns and Allen's. Yeah.
Wow. And the one I did a Nickelodeon show a few years ago, and I was on Stage 19 where I had done Wings. Bob Saget had a show, but they did Sunset Boulevard and The Odd Couple at Paramount.
Yeah.
On the lot I was on.
Yep.
Yes.
Also, the Desilu was part of the Paramount lot. The Cahuenga lot, the Cahuenga Paramount lot was taken over by Desilu.
Well, wasn't that called the Raleigh lot for a while? Raleigh Studios?
Yeah, Raleigh Studios, yeah.
Yes. And Jeff brings up, I don't know this show. What's Chef of the Future?
I don't know that.
I don't know that one either. But yeah, I love the history of these lots. Have you worked on sitcoms?
No, very few sitcoms.
You were just a variety guy.
Yeah, but I basically did a lot of television series. I did about 8 or 10 or 12 of them, and I did about 30 or 40 specials. And then I went over to NBC, and I really enjoyed working there because it was playing Monopoly with real money.
I was actually reading the biography of Barry Diller, and he was a development guy.
Yeah, Barry started at ABC and then went over to Paramount. Yeah.
He started the movies of the week.
Yeah, absolutely, he did.
Oh, that's what Jeff explains. Jackie used to say, "Chef of the Future." I don't remember that expression.
No.
But this story ends up in Miami Beach, where I remember Ron Clark worked on the from Miami Beach, Florida.
Jackie Gleason.
Yes. I mean, so I don't want to take more of your time. Anyone have any questions? But Saul, you're a classic, and answering Scarlett's question, who's there now? Well, the amazing Ron Clark, who he wrote I think it was started as a play. Norman, Is That You?
Yeah, Norman, Is That You? He did it with Sam Bobrick. It was a play.
But then it was a movie with Red Fox and Pearl Bailey.
By the way, Ron Clark and Sam Barber. I put them together as a team on the Smothers Brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wait,
Ron worked for me on the Smothers.
I'm not sure who Sam Broderick is.
Well, Sam's did a lot of shows but he co-wrote the play. Excuse me, the play that they did. Norman, Is That You?
Which was revolutionary at the time because
Yes, it was. Yes,
it was about, now it's not a big thing coming out.
No, it's still a big hit. Believe it or not, it's a big hit in Paris.
So yeah, Ron is such a modest guy, but he makes a lot of money from the rights to his plays he wrote.
Yes, he does.
I worked with Rita Moreno,
Yeah.
and I mentioned the table, and she was supposed to come. She never did, but she was in a play written by Ron.
Yeah, yeah. I worked with Rita on the show. I had her as a guest on one of my shows.
What show?
I'm trying to remember. There's so many. I don't remember. Maybe I'm Bobby Darin.
Wow.
Huh.
Cody, were you talking about, did you see the Kevin Spacey Bobby Darin movie? Were you talking about it?
Yeah, I have it on. I have it on DVD. I started watching it, but I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
I thought Kevin did a good job. I mean, Bobby was, for me, of anybody I worked with, he was the most. He was so talented. He can do anything, sing, dance, act, everything. He was hard to work with.
Why is that?
We had a love-hate relationship, but we did 3 years. He died after our third season at NBC.
I got to go on YouTube. I want to find the Judy Garland show and Bobby Darin.
Yeah, find the one with Judy Garland and Barbara Streisand.
Wow.
That's amazing.
What was it like? Did you see Barbara Streisand in the studio and everything?
Yeah, Barbara was there. Yeah, Barbara was very young at the time, and you're going back to '63.
My God. I mean, these classic people. Cody, do you have any questions for Saul?
Well, you said, I'm curious. Danny Kaye, how was that working with him?
Danny Kaye was an interesting guy. I mean, I like Danny, but
Yeah.
Danny Kaye, to me, was difficult in rehearsal sometimes.
Really?
And I don't know, should tell us out of school, but he didn't like kids.
Oh yeah.
even though he was the UNICEF ambassador for children.
Right.
Yeah. But he was very gifted. He really, really was gifted. I mean, he was special. As a matter of fact, I thought he was too special for television.
Wow.
Wow.
That's cool.
I know people must have said, you should have a memoir. I mean, were you like the king of producers of variety shows?
No, I never thought of myself as the king. I did a lot of stuff, And I'll tell you one quick anecdote.
Sure.
I was doing Doris Day's first special. So I went to her house, and she had about 7 dogs in the house running around, and then we were rehearsing, and she had not done television ever. So she was a little nervous about. She said, "I don't think I can sing anymore." So I used to spend time with her. I said, "Just keep singing these songs. I'd bring a piano player, and we do it." One day I said to her, "You got all these dogs. Why do you need all these dogs for? What for?" And she said to me, "You don't understand. I get up in the morning at 5:30. I'm in makeup at 6:30. I'm there all day long. I don't get home till about 9 o'clock. I open the door, and all these puppies come running to me, and they hug me, and they kiss me, and they don't even know I'm Doris Day."
Well, that's the way I feel with Cody. No, I'm just kidding. I always make a bad joke. He doesn't even know I'm Fred Stoller. I mean, and he hugs me. Well, I was just thinking, and nothing to do with anything we're talking about. I love dogs, but a day like today, the blessing and the rain, just to lie and not have to take a dog out and have cats on me.
I know. We just took our puppy out, and it was hard in the rain, but you got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, you got a new puppy?
Yep. His name is Billy.
And don't tell me you got it from a breeder.
No.
Okay.
No, rescue.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, yeah.
I just, I mean, I know someone, a good friend, and their son got it from a breeder, and I don't want to be on my high horse, but today's day with the internet, you see so many things about, dogs battered that need a home with a leg missing, or like, how could you not be aware that? That's me
Yeah.
going in my head. And now, okay, Jeff, I'm going to answer your question. Jeff just said, Sal, how the hell are you 94? I just want to say that I used to
Tell
live.
him I'm 93.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Don't age me.
But this is the thing. Like a year and 3 months ago, I used to live on the same block as Saul. I live further, no, on the
Just
same
north. Yeah,
block.
1 block north.
But I would take my car 2 blocks away to the farmer's market, and he'd walk there in the heat waves. And do you still walk to the market?
Sometimes I do, and a lot of times I'll just take my car now because it's much faster and easier.
Yeah. But you guys are an inspiration. You, Ronnie Shell, and Ron, because you're in your early 90s, but your mind is as sharp as a tack,
Yeah.
and you're in the best shape. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that you see Ron Clark guiding Ronnie Shell. I remember the thing in real life happened close to. I think it was Murder by Death. A movie, a Neil
Yeah.
Simon movie, and I think one of the characters was in the wheelchair and the other was the attendant. But the joke was the caretaker was the one in the wheelchair. You know. But you got any secret, like, what do you do? You're always reading. How do you keep your mind active? And
My wife keeps me young. I read a lot. I don't read a lot of history, but I watch a lot of history. I'm very, very interested in history. So I go on YouTube and I'm always looking at things about the Second World War, about the wars, about characters, about writers, Hemingway. I'm always interested in learning.
you know something, my father, and the story is actually about my father's trauma in World War II. My father hardly spoke, and then one time my uncle told the story what happened to my father in Anzio, why he lost his mind. He was put away, and my uncle said he never was the same after the war. He was a shy, sensitive artist, and but what my era, I didn't know much because I think, now kids today, but they have access to History Channel, YouTube footage, and you could learn so much. So I love old Hollywood history.
Yeah.
I love learning that, and Jeff said you're in better shape than Ben Sollenberger. You don't know who Jeff Sollenberger is, but so you like just picking up just little things on YouTube.
Yeah, but and sit down and when I feel like writing, I'll write, and
And I love. I always say that through Scarlett Johansson, I thought this guy was in his 70s, but if you learn about Hollywood history, you learn about real history because it parallels because after World War II, Europe was bombed out, and that kind of started the kind of the Orson Welles, I get the Third Man mixed up with the woman from Saigon because one of them was with the three walls were. But you learn about regular history, the Depression, and this. So if you learn about Hollywood history, it parallels with real history. The
well, I don't know. Did you ever read? There's a great book called "How the Jews Started Hollywood." It's a great book. Really great.
Yeah, I think I thought I saw this. There was a special. Yes, how they came from Europe, and
and it's really fascinating to read.
Yes, I love learning about Judy Garland and what they did to child actors, and right now I'm listening to an audiobook. Ronnie Shell brought Karen Knotts to the table, Don Knotts' daughter, and she's gonna come on. So I'm reading about like how Don Knotts started, but just about the Depression and Hollywood.
I was very lucky. I got to work with a lot of stars. And when you're doing weekly television variety shows, you're booking 2 stars a show. and you do 30 shows a year. So I had the opportunity to really get to know. I mean, not get to really know, but to spend time. You spend a week with them, and sometimes you bring them back. And it was really fascinating, really interesting, because a lot of them had come in and they had problems of their own with their children, etc. It was interesting.
Yeah, Raymond Burr, by the way, I just saw him, and it's an Turner Classic movie. He was in a noir as a real bad guy. It took place in, I think it was called Maze, where right now it's the Hollywood Museum, but Third and Wilshire and Fairfax, where he was a real bad guy in movies. Raymond Burr.
Yeah, he used to play a heavy. Yeah, before
Yes,
he did
literally heavy. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But now who I love reading about, I'm not smart enough. I tried The Great Gatsby, but I like reading about F. Scott Fitzgerald in Hollywood.
Yep. It was interesting. I read about it recently. Very good.
There's a book, Tuesdays. So he wrote about Hollywood, Sundays, lunches with a Sunday. And I read a few books about Orson Welles, like when they're in the other part of their career, the later parts.
Yeah.
But it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, Hayworth Avenue, I first moved to when I moved to Hollywood. And that's where someone would say, that's where F. Scott Fitzgerald died. And, did you ever go to not Chasen's, where Lana Turner was discovered?
Are you talking about Schwab's?
Yes.
Yeah, when I first came out here, I stayed at the Chateau Marmont. When I came out to do Danny Kaye, I stayed there for about a couple of months. And
Wow.
Schwab's was just down the corner.
Yeah, Crescent and Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Wow, it's just amazing. So Cody, you need to start watching about history.
Yes.
Don't,
It is
'cause seriously, do you like Hollywood history?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I loved, the old character actors. Like when I worked with what's her name? Rita Moreno. She took me in a dressing room, but she showed me all her memorabilia. Forrest Tucker, he was a pig. She was telling me, this guy did this and this guy tried to touch me and all that stuff. But according to Ted Lange, he told stories about people who would say, who Milton Berle wasn't a good guy. Oh, did you work with Milton Berle talking about Variety?
Talking about Milton Berle. Milton Berle was, when I went to New York, helped me. He set me up because I was a young kid at the time, and he put me together with a guy called Bobby Kroll, who was a writer. And that's why, because I got to meet Berle, and there was a place called Hanson's Drugstore, very famous. You can look it up.
Hanson's Drugstore?
Yeah, all the people. If you wanted a comic, they were all there. The Borscht Comics.
They were hanging out in a drugstore. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess the market is the closest thing they have to, where people just hang out. I mean, in New York, a lot of actors would hang out in the SAG office. But
on the weekend, on Friday, all the comics would meet at Hanson's, because if one of the comics had a car, he was the one who drove everybody to the Catskills.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I met Jack Carter there, and Caesar was there, and they were all there hanging out.
That's amazing. Well, according to Ron Clark, who the worst person in the world
I know.
is.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, Ron Clark has him, and I have my buddy Hackett stories. Yeah.
Oh, I heard he was a miserable person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, those are great. I mean, who is the one was a big star that's one of the nicest? Oh, I could tell you, Dom DeLuise.
Oh, you love him. You absolutely would love him.
I worked with him and then met him.
Alan King was pretty nice. Alan King was pretty nice. King was.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, nice.
What was Don Rickles like? Did you know him?
Lovely.
Oh.
Absolutely. I knew Don Rickles very well. I worked with him on a lot of shows, and he was out. He wasn't Rickles when he wasn't performing.
Oh, that's
He worried about all the things that everybody else worries about.
well. I heard Ronnie Shell, who our friend, who could be a curmudgeon and is miserable about other people's success. He's a puppy dog when his wife is around. He's a different
Yes,
person.
I used Ronnie Shell. I used Ronnie Shell a lot during the years, but then I used him, and I did a play called Senior Class, and we played at the Annenberg Theater in Palm Springs for 4 winter seasons.
Wow.
And Ronnie was on it, and Ronnie could be very, very difficult. I mean, in a strange way, he was a pain in the ass. So I used to
He
call
still is.
I used to call his wife Jan.
Well, it's funny. This guy Ben Sullenberger, who I forgot who mentioned, Jeff. He's a guy, hustles, tries to make his own little movies and videos, and he loves Ronnie. So one time we did a little thing where, as appreciation, he gave a bottle of wine to everyone, and Ronnie grabs mine. You don't need it. You don't drink wine. I'm taking yours. So he's just
Ronnie was very funny, really, really
yes.
funny. Yep.
Yes. He. Okay, so I'll let you go in a minute, Scarlett. I mean, Saul. But Scarlett asks, how often do you go to the market? So I'll tell the story really quick. When Paul Mazursky was there, they did it 5 times a week, and they'd have guests where it was like Sharon Stone was there, Quentin Tarantino, Frederick Nero, is that his name? He was there. He was friends with Paul, and then it revolved around his dialysis schedule, where it would be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, Paul would get dialysis, and then he died. So then it just went now to Fridays only. And how come you are only part of the table the last few years?
Yeah, Ronnie invited me to the table a long time ago, but I didn't, I'm not very social sometimes. And I like when I would go in, I would literally work with the stars, and then I left them. I didn't like to socialize. They used to think I was a snob. But,
No. Yes,
so the same thing with Ronnie. Finally, he said to me, "You gotta come." And about 3 years ago, I decided I would try it on a Friday. And it was very interesting, and I enjoy it very much. And I like the people.
Well, I got to tell you something that who died. Oh my God, I loved him. Who died a few years ago. I don't know if you knew Glenn.
Very well. I came in for the last year when he was there.
Now, Glenn stayed away from the table, but when some of the loudmouths died, like Paul was a sweetheart, but he was a loudmouth, and Ronnie was a little ridiculous, and Charlie Bragg, who I loved, who was the funniest artist. He wasn't a comic, but he did some famous like Chasins of the Stars. So it got really loud and competitive, and it was a little daunting for a while. So Glenn finally came to be a regular at the table when it wasn't as loud and competitive when some of the people died, but so you got
I was
to meet
there until he passed away,
Yeah, Glenn was a sweetheart. He won an Emmy, an Oscar for editing The Right Stuff, and just a gentle, sweet guy.
Yep.
And I don't go like I used to because they do it on Fridays, like I said, and I live a lot further. And Friday traffic in LA, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm due for a visit. There's some new faces. You like MC, right?
He's terrific. I really like him. He's nice, really, really nice guy.
He's a gentle giant. If you're not familiar with MC Gainey, he was in a movie called with Kurt Russell, Breakdown or something, where he's playing this mean killer, and he has a mean face, but I was laughing because I know him as a puppy dog. So, and he was infamous because he played a naked guy in the movie Sideways.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he's he's a sweetheart, and Gary's new, and one other new guy, MC. That's probably it. But I'm glad and now Phyllis.
Just moved to Motion Picture Home.
I want to visit, see what it's like. She claims she was one of the originals of the table. She was Paul Mazursky's assistant, and she was I don't know if an editor on the Woodstock movie.
Yeah.
She worked on that. So sometimes it gets, I don't want to name names, Sal, but there's one guy a little too aggressive for me.
I know what you're talking about, but we'll keep it quiet.
Yes. And another guy who's a good guy, but he likes the attention. He talks really loud, and
Yeah.
it gets to be much. But yeah, the one guy who yeah, I mean, some people like this guy who I'm not a fan of. I think it's that he loves that sitting around the comedians in the green room and busting balls, going, "Hey, you're a loser. Hey, what'd you go to the gym?" I mean, that, and that's never my vibe. I never liked, the busting balls aspect of it. But any last questions before I let Saul go? But yes, you are. Oh, let me ask you: are any of your daughters in the business?
No,
Good for you.
no,
You told them it's too chaotic.
exactly.
Smart. When you start young, you don't know how insane it is, and people ask the question, "Am I too old to get into blah blah blah?" And it does help starting young because you have to be in the trenches, and just like I did, hang out at comedy clubs till 3 a.m. Yeah, obviously, I can't even. Greg asked me to see a midnight movie. I'm too old to do that.
Yeah.
But any last questions for Saul? But I really enjoyed this. I really like the learning stuff.
You may have already answered this, but what kind of got you into interested in this?
I
business?
don't. I used to do. I don't know why. I started writing stick when I was a kid. I just did it. I don't know why. I used to pretend that I had a radio show, and I'd write stuff, and then I'd write stuff, and sometimes I'd write things that would get me into trouble at school. But that's how I started, and then I started writing jokes for local comics in Montreal.
Any comics from there that kind of we would have heard of from Montreal?
I started writing for Alan King when I was about 17.
I didn't know he was from Canada.
No, he didn't. He'd come to play the Chez Paris in Montreal. He had his act, but he needed some local jokes.
Oh.
And that time they paid $25 a page.
Wow. That's how I pay Cody.
Yeah.
He's adding all these extra pages, but it's that's amazing.
Cool,
so let me ask you, in Canada, oh, Jeff just asked, did you ever do stand up?
No.
Did you were smart. So what did they have? Did they have equivalent of vaudeville in Canada?
Oh, of course.
I see.
They had a lot of shows, places. They had vaudeville and a lot of comedy stores. That like the Downbeat and Chez Paris, and a lot of places where big acts would come to play there.
Well, Saul, I really admire your lack of bitterness. Like, as you know, some of the people at the table, they're kind of a little resentful of people's success, or why aren't they doing this or that? You've got an amazing perspective.
Well, first of all, I cheer them because I root for them. You want them to be good because that's what the business is about.
That is so rare. Look, Ronnie roots against people he doesn't know.
Not really. He's just I call him I always call him, I say, very nice for America's sweetheart to talk this way.
But I did hear that Harvey Korman used to root against people.
Yeah. Harvey was not a nice person. One of the few people. I mean, I know Harvey very well, and Harvey had a lot of problems.
Just, you mean problems? Why?
Emotional problems.
Oh, I see. He was so amazing.
Yes, he was.
I mean,
and he couldn't accept the fact that he was amazing.
Oh, now they have the term for that. What's it called? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, he could. And
Really?
you know who's a sweetheart? I'm getting goosebumps. I did a little bit part on Diagnosis Murder. I sit down. Dick Van Dyke looks at me, goes, you're the guy that does the risks, because I used to in the '90s do the thrill.
Yep.
I'm a thrill seeker, and he was a sweetheart. So
I did Dick Van Dyke and Bill Cosby, the two-man show for special.
wait, what? I didn't know they had a two-man.
Oh yeah,
show.
look at it. Go on YouTube, you'll see it. Good special.
Wow. And Cosby, I heard.
No, forget about it. We don't discuss Cosby.
Not just the allegations,
No.
but just someone
No.
said he's a monster.
No, he was. No, he was. Believe me.
That's
We'll-
why
we'll just-
Cody.
We'll just leave it at that.
That's why Cody's in Ohio. He came to Hollywood, and they said this guy's a monster, and he was run out.
Yeah.
It's. I know. I go for the negative. Like I like hearing who is some of the worst people. But
Jackie
you know,
Mason, put him on the
Yeah.
list.
But before I go, I'm going to tell you in my time who the nicest were. The late Bob Saget. He was
Yeah,
just
nice guy.
negative, nice guy.
Yep.
These guys aren't superstars, but Steven Weber from Wings.
Yep. That's
you know,
right.
Actually, his father was an agent for Catskill Comics, I heard, in New York. Chris Elliott, Tony Shalhoub from Monk.
Very good.
You know who was a real nice guy? Usually, many times when they play jerks, they are like Dabney Coleman was nice to me, but I heard he was tough.
Yeah.
And he played tough guys. But I met Dennis Franz. He was a sweetheart.
Yes,
So,
I know
did you ever
Dennis
meet
Franz.
him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
not Dennis Farina, but yes.
No, I used Dennis Franz on a variety show as a guest.
What variety show was Dennis Franz on?
I don't remember, but he was doing the new. I forget the show in New York. Yeah.
Wow. Well, talking like this, I got to come back to the table.
Yeah.
And I'm due. And you're amazing. So thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Okay.
You have a great night. I'm going to make an effort to come there.
Yeah. I'll look forward to seeing you. Take care.
All right, Sal. You have a great
Hey, it
night.
was a pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye now. I just love it. I got a lot on YouTube to look up. Judy Garland show, Cosby, and there's and Dick Van Dyke in a duo. So all right, did you
That
guys
was
enjoy it?
amazing.
So
I was kind of drawing, so hopefully I wish my train of thought was kind of all over, but such an amazing history of what he's done and who he's worked with, that era. Even Doris Day, maybe we can have him on again. So
he would do it again if you think of some more questions.
Yeah, I would love to. It's like when it comes up, you're kind of like, wow, there's just so much. One thing it would be good to ask is if does he still write today, even on his
I think
side
he
project?
mentioned he keeps his mind active,
Yeah.
and I think he's still. I don't know. He did mention something like, he watches this,
Right. Did you see Kristen?
Kristen.
Did we have Kristen on?
Christine, is she here?
Or Christine, sorry.
Yes.
I'm here.
Like-
I don't know if you could hear me, but I'm here.
Oh, are you one of these people not showing your face, Christine?
I am one of these people not showing my face.
All right. I don't mean to be nasty, but I think I agree with that decision because when I'm with her, I'm embarrassed. She's so unattractive. I'm just kidding.
So you worked with Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah,
we
I
just
thought you
had
what?
we just had Saul from the table, who's a great guy who has worked with everyone and worked with Dick Van Dyke, and just he produced variety shows, the Smothers Brothers. So it was really great.
I heard
Christine.
you say that he worked with Dick Van Dyke, and then you were talking about Dennis Franz. You said, Dennis Franz was a really nice guy, not Dennis Farina. And I was like, well, I worked with Dick Van Dyke and Dennis Farina.
And I'm not
the
saying
same
Dennis,
show.
wait. I'm not saying Dennis Farina isn't a nice guy. That's who I met.
Right. I understand.
So I wish you'd show your face. You should put a picture up, Cody. Christine Hodge,
yeah.
to show how beautiful she is. Could you
Well,
put a
I don't
picture
know
in
the last.
How to
how do
put
you
a
find
picture up?
How do
I
you
don't think-
spell? I should know your last name. Okay, to fill people in, Christine was on a show called Head of the Class, which
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I know who this is.
yes, which I didn't watch when it was on because we didn't have binging shows and DVRs. So if I'm hanging out at a comedy club, I don't watch shows. But it was kind of comforting because it was sort of like Welcome Back, Kotter, but it just kind
If we
of.
were compared, we were called Welcome Back Kotter, but the smart kids. If Welcome Back Kotter kids were smart instead of dumb, that was
Right.
the great review of our show. But they did like us. We premiered in the top 5. The pilot did really well, and then we stayed well in the ratings for many years because they liked the kid like we liked the kids on Welcome Back Kotter.
Well, HAJE Christine, if you could find a picture, so at least we have her face there.
Oh,
in
here
the
I
side.
am.
Yes, and
There
what's
you-
that? What's that? Oh, that's not her. Well,
It's me, but that's a movie I did with Doug Stanhope, who's a comic. And I'm in that movie, but they're showing a little clip from it.
Oh, I see. And there you are. I saw you on Law and Order where you were like having almost sex on a roof, and then you find a dead body. So a lot of people,
That's me.
a lot of people want to do those Law and Orders where they have a little banter and not connected to anything, and then oh my God, look at the car, dun dun, and what the hell is that?
This picture or the fight or the done.
Oh, here.
The class friend.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you who's who. Okay, so
This is more than the original cast. It was the original cast, and then some people were traded out for. This is the final cast because we started with Howard Hessman, but you'll see Billy Connolly in the center there.
now I don't know who's the blonde lady. Is she? Not
Her
in the
name is
original
Lara
cast?
Piper. She's an actress. She's very gifted. She, but so this was the second round. There's Ki Huey Kwan is just next to me in the white shirt there. He came on later as well. The now Oscar
And has he
winner.
done anything? Has he done anything after the show?
You're funny. He won an
I'm just
Oscar.
kidding. What? 2 years ago, he won an Oscar.
Yeah, and now he's in everything. God bless him. He's a good guy. So I'm happy
Everything
for
all
him.
at once. And Dan Frischman, I know through you. He's a great guy. He was Arvid the Nerd, and that's
And he was
you.
on
And
Conan and Kel, and he was on Josh and Drake. He did a lot of Nickelodeon after Head of the Class.
Scarlett
Hey,
S.
this is the
wasn't
Indiana
there.
Jones guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, was Indiana Jones before or after Head of the Class?
Before?
So was he like acting like a hot shot that he worked with?
No,
Harrison
not at
Ford?
all, because he'd never done sitcom, and it was so different than he'd really, he'd done Indiana Jones and Goonies, and so he came
right.
with a film background that we envied, but he didn't know how to do 5 camera necessarily, and so he was just kind and focused on learning and just wanting to be the best actor he could be, and he was just a good guy looking to learn the sitcom ways.
Now behind, okay, left is I met her through you. I can't.
Kimberly Russell.
Kimberly Russell, who was in a movie. This is my trivia that got mocked a lot, called Ghost World, when she was little, with Bill Cosby. It was
Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad, yes, Ghost Dad. And next to her is the guy who was trying to be, they needed a Vinnie Barbarino type, even though they were geniuses or something. And he ended up running Paramount. Does he still head of Paramount?
I think that the head of Skydance or Don Ellison took it over, but Brian ran it for a while, and he's also a good guy.
And also next to him, this guy, I can't pronounce his name,
Devorier.
but he was had a good fun cameo, good part in Die Hard. Did you ever see Die Hard, Cody?
Yes.
He's the
He was
limo
the
driver.
The limo
Oh,
driver.
yes. Oh, that's
Yes.
And he
Yes.
had done that before Head of the Class. And we were all like, oh, tell us about Bruce Willis. Tell us about
Right.
filming. And of all things, the guy who plays the principal on Head of the Class was also in Die Hard. with Dvorak. So he was in the elevator. Anyway, it was a fun little trivia.
Next to him is Rain Pryor, Richard Pryor's daughter.
Yep.
Now this guy next to him, he was in the original class thing, right?
Yep. Tony O'Dell. Yeah.
And who's that next to him? Was he not in the original cast?
I think that's Dvorak. I can't see the. I think that's Michael DiLorenzo.
I don't know much about him.
Michael DiLorenzo was a gifted dancer and actor. He was in Fame. He's in the Beat It. He's in the is it the Beat It video where they fight in the street and they come on the subway and there's the two gangs that fight in the Michael Jackson video?
Warriors? No. Oh, the Beat It video.
I think it's the Beat It video. We were like, oh my God. And he was in a play. He was starring in a play at the Mark Taper or at the Amundsen, and the producers went and saw it and loved him, and then he got head of the class. But he'd already had a big career by the time he came to our show. And then after head of the class, he was one of the stars of New York Undercover.
I remember
Yoba. Yeah.
And next to him is Don't Tell Me. She was married to Mike Tyson.
That's right.
And did Mike Tyson ever come to the set?
All the time.
Get out of here. You got to see Mike Tyson?
All the time. He came to our photo shoots. He was probably at this photo shoot. He used to hang out all the time. And I used to go to the fights.
Get out of here. You saw what Tyson fights did you see? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I went to Las Vegas for one of his early fights. So it was probably, what would that have been, 1988 maybe? I went to Vegas. It's where I met Sylvester Stallone for the first time, was ringside at Mike Tyson's fight. And then I was at that fight in Atlantic City where he knocked out Holmes in 90 seconds. I brought my brothers with me. Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. I went to a couple of fights in Vegas, and then the Atlantic City fight was the last one I was at.
Well, I remember a big deal was, I forgot what year, but Robin Givens and Tyson were on maybe like 2020, and there was some weird interview where her mom was there, and remember, I think In Living Color made fun of it, where Kim Waynes played Robin Givens. And one of them played Mike Tyson. Yes, sometimes I like to burp. It's funny. I can't do Tyson.
I did not see that. I don't know it. I cannot comment.
Yes, Mike, this is Christine Haich, who her version of not looking attractive is like an 8 with any other. Well, I don't know what I'm saying, but she never.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. But it's better y'all looking at these pictures than me at the moment.
But yes, this is Christine Haich. Hi, Haji. Did they have a TV show with Haji? What's the thing with kids like Haji? I forgot. But Christine is a very good friend, and I don't know.
Such a good friend. You don't know how to pronounce my last name.
Haj. It looks like Haji when I see it in print, though. But
right.
I'm going to start some trouble now. You stopped. She stopped talking to you because you wouldn't not see Michael J. Fox. Why was Robin Givens?
Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! The scandal, Fred. Cody, yes. You've got to be careful. If you tell Fred something, he's going to, reveal it on Substack.
Right.
Yes. Something, but you were a nanny to Michael J. Fox. What was the thing? You were a helper? Or?
Wow. No, I was his house sitter. So I was 16 and I was Michael J. Fox. I used to house sit for Michael J. Fox when he was out of town. And he was really a great guy, and he was very generous. He had a pool. He had a nice house up in the hills. And he was like, bring your family. They can all stay and have your friends over. Like he was very easygoing. And so, and of course, I was a big fan of, he was on Family Ties at the time. And, he was always like, he was just nice to me. He didn't treat me like an employee. And then I got head of the class. And so that was fun, but I would still house sit for him if I was available. and it was his birthday, and so I was really looking forward to go. He invited me to his birthday party. I was super, that was just nice, and I feel like I'm giving up Robin's private information. I don't know if I can
All
talk
right, you
about
don't
it
have.
publicly.
Well, all right. You may. All right. I don't mean to force it,
But ultimately, she was going to go, and then didn't go, and then didn't want me to go, and we had a big argument about it. And so then there was a difficult spell between us. But yes, involving Michael J. Fox.
Wow. I mean, I shouldn't lead Christine to stories, but let me ask you, and I probably asked you this. Okay, answering Mike's question, he said the shy girl. Maybe
Yeah,
you're
I was the
thinking,
shy girl. That's right, Simone.
okay, because I thought Tanis Valley, wasn't she shy on the show? But you were the poet. There
No,
was
she
an
wasn't.
episode.
Tanis Valley, who played Janice, was her character name. Tanis played Janice. She was. She had a T-shirt that said, "I'm annoying. I'm a genius. It bugs them." And
Oh,
so she was. She was just an extremely precocious kid, and she played that. On the show, and so she wasn't shy, but I was. At one point, the writers came to me and said, we got to do something different because you're
you're too
getting too
beautiful.
shy. Yeah, you won't say anything, and we've got to be able to write for you.
Yeah, and we
And
could
so,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah. Mike said Q was on a sitcom in '85 called Together We Stand. Oh, that's some good trivia. And usually, like I said, I would know. And Scarlett's never seen Head of the Class. Where can we see it these days, Christine? Is it on
You know,
Max?
no, it was on HBO Max, and then it was on Freevee, Amazon Prime for a while, but I think it's on Rewind Television at the moment. I see someone asked if I ever worked with Ron Zimmerman. Oh, Ron, I don't know that I worked with Ron Zimmerman. Of all things, I was hired as a guest star on a show that Ron was a writer on, and I read at the table read. I don't know who all is listening, but if you haven't done it, if you haven't worked on a show yourself, the part of the process for a sitcom is the first day of whatever's going to be the week for the filming. Everyone meets at, let's say, 9 a.m. on set, and you just read through the script. It's called the table read. So I got the part. I went to the table read. Ron was one of the writers or producers on the show. That was super fun. The kid who played Joey, what's his name on Friends, was one of the
Oh, I
leads.
was on that show, Vinny and Bobby. Ron
Vinny
brought
and
me into
Bobby.
that.
Okay. So it was that show, Vinny and Bobby. And I read, and at the table read, I just thought, like, oh, I am not the right person for this. I don't remember the character, but it just was not right. And I thought, I left half sick, and some of the stuff wasn't working in the script, and they broke us for the day. And Ron called me a few hours later and was like, I didn't want you to hear it from someone else, but we're going to have to let you go. It was the
That's
first
the
time I
worst,
was
Ron.
ever fired. But he said, but I want you to know you finally made it. Robin Williams was fired. Dustin Hoffman was fired. He gave me like the list of these most admirable actors and when they were fired. So he let me down easy.
If there's any show to be fired from, it's Vinny and Bobby.
Well, was fired from Vinny and Bobby.
Oh, one other thing on the picture in the bottom is the infamous Dan Schneider, who created an empire of Nickelodeon on camera shows.
That's right.
I was on Drake and Josh, and I worked with him another time. They did Kid Danger, an animated version of Henry Danger or something like that. And yes, there was a Nickelodeon special about the feed and the blah, blah, blah. But, and he was known. We have Al on this and Jeff, who are big, love character actors and movies. Dan Schneider first was in Don't Tell Me, Savage Steve Holland.
That's right.
Not One Crazy Summer. What was it called?
Do you want me to tell you what it's called or not?
I want to just hope I'm Oh, before you, Saul is 93 and he is sharp as a tack. So he gave me his tips for not losing my memory early. Let me think. It had John Cusack.
That's right.
It had that sexy woman with the curly brownish
Diane
hair.
Franklin.
Oh my God, she's sexy. And it had, okay, not One Crazy Summer. That was another Savage Steve Holland movie. This one, don't tell me. I'll give up in a minute. It was kind of like I think Dan Schneider played like a nerdy guy with glasses. Like I give up. What was it? Better Off Dead? Someone
That's
told
it.
me.
Better Off Dead.
Yes. So he now could you please tell us how Dan helped you audition or you helped him audition for Head of the Class?
Yeah, that was fun. So if I can stretch it out a little bit and tell you my audition story, but when I got the audition for Head of the Class, the role they had me come in for was Maria, and she was described as a waif, Madonna-ish waif with jet black hair. And so I read for the casting director, and then I got a call back and I read for the producers, and that was fun. But I didn't hear from them for a couple of days, and I got a call and they said, "Hey, they're calling you back. They want you to meet the Warner Brothers executives." And I was like, "Okay, great." And they said, "But it's a different role. It's the role of Darlene." And so I already had the script, and she was described as it was Darlene Merriman, a speech and debate monster, cute, black, and serious. That ended up being Robin Givens' role, and I was like, okay. So they said they're going to have you meet with the director. I read with John Tracy was directing the pilot. And then I went and met with all the executives, but I thought, well, I'm not going to get, I didn't get the Madonna-ish waif. I'm not going to get cute, black, and serious. And so I was just super relaxed. And in the waiting room was Dan Schneider. And he was going over his lines. And I started talking to him. And I said, "Do you want to rehearse with me? Like, I'll read your, So he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I ran lines with him, his stuff, before he went in. And he was really funny. And I was like, you're going to get this. And then I didn't hear anything, or, I didn't hear from it. I was like, yeah, I figured I'm not going to get that role. And then I got a call and they said, "Hey, Christine, they want you to come in and read with Howard Hessman." And I was like, oh, okay, like surprised, right? Because I didn't hear anything. They said, "But it's a different role. It's the role of Simone." So I was like, okay. And in the script, it said Simone, painfully shy, the poet laureate, wallflower in the class. And so I read with Howard for that. And then I went to read at the network. And at the network, Tony O'Dell, who got the role of Alan, was there. And this other guy reading for the same role. And he and I both were feeling like we weren't going to get it. And, he was for the role of Alan. I was for Simone. Laura Jill Miller was there. And she was just coming off of Nell's Family. And she was quite popular and funny, so I was sure she would get it. And then there was this other woman named Susan, and I'd just seen her in a movie of the week, and she had cried, on command in the movie. She was so good in this movie of the week. I thought they're going to, one of them will get it. So I was still pretty relaxed when I went and did my audition, and the other kid who read for Alan did his audition, but he seemed pretty nervous. Anyway, when we left, so I was in high school. I was an emancipated minor, so I was actually just turned 17 when I auditioned for Head of the Class. And I'd gotten when you're in the honors program, Disneyland would do an honors night, and they would stay open all night for the honors kids, California Honor Society or something. Anyway, so I was going to go to that. So I invited the guy that I'd been kind of just like goofing around with while we were waiting to read. And he came to Disneyland with me and we had an amazing time. And when it was Matthew Perry.
Wow.
And so when I got home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I checked my answering machine, and my agent had left a message saying, "Well, Christine, I don't really know how to tell you this, but I guess, well, you're just going to have to get used to the name Simone because you got the part." And I was like, "Ah!" I was screaming. I started screaming. And
Oh,
my dad, my brother, and my mom came running into my room, and I was like, I got it. And I was afraid to call Matthew to see if he, I didn't want to ring these were the days of landlines. I didn't want to call him at 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up his family. But I did call the next day. I would just waited until the Monday, which was the table read. And there was Dan Schneider, but no Matthew Perry. But Dan was happy that I was there, and I was happy that he was there. We felt like we really bonded at the earlier audition. And then I invited Matthew to come to the taping of the pilot. So Matthew Perry actually came to the pilot taping of Head of the Class. And we stayed friends for years. And then we just fell out of, line, alignment, I guess.
now was this a thing, a pilot, or a pilot with an order of a whole season when you
It
got
was
it?
just a pilot. And I didn't think it would, I was so like, even when we read for the network, Matthew was really worked up about it. And I was like, it's a really good show, but they didn't have their licensing. They hadn't paid their licensing fee. I was like, who knows if they're even going to shoot it. But then when we did the pilot, I just assumed it would get picked up. I didn't know how hard it was for a pilot to get picked up. So we got
Well,
picked up for 13, and then we got picked up for the back 9 because you used to do 22 at the time.
But I'm assuming that you must have been murmuring, "Oh, this has what's his name, Howard Hessman. It's got to go."
Yeah,
Things
I
like
just thought
that.
for sure. I was so enamored with Dr. Johnny Fever. I was so starstruck with Howard Hessman. I just assumed, he was a big star, and it was a well-written show. It was very funny. And I just didn't have any concept of how hard it is to get a show picked up at the time, and all the big stars that did shows, I ditched second period to go to that audition. I was just a kid in high school. So I had worked, but I was pretty innocent to how the business worked.
And then all right, I won't tell the O.J. Simpson story when you said innocent, but you became
I
friends
was
with him.
innocent. OJ came later, and he did not steal my innocence. But of all things,
Yeah. He
I
took you to
would not be
Disneyland or Vegas. Where did he take you? Or the Super Bowl?
to the Super Bowl. But he took me, my brother, and my niece to the Super Bowl. But then he wanted me to go to his room to get the tickets for the Super Bowl. And I brought my brother. And OJ gave me the tickets, but he was like, "How come you brought your brother?" And I was like, "Oh, I said, I'm afraid to be alone with you." And he was like, "Why are you afraid of me?" And I
How
said,
old were you?
I was maybe 21 at the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
But I
which Super
literally
Bowl
said,
was?
"I'm afraid to be alone with you. I'm afraid of you." I told him. And he was like, "Don't be afraid of me."
What year? What Super Bowl was this? Where was it?
We went to the Super Bowl in Florida. We went to 2. He brought me and my family to the Super Bowl this was before all of that, horrible
Yeah,
insanity. Obviously, he brought us to the Super Bowl in Florida, which was the Niners. No, I think it was the Buffalo Bills against whomever. I don't remember. And then he brought us to New Orleans, which was the Niners against the somebodies. And because he had played for both, right? The Buffalo Bills and the 49ers. So,
Wow.
and being in New Orleans with O.J. Simpson was really wild. It's really, really
Why?
wild.
Just
And a
everyone
close
is.
friend of mine was dating Don Johnson at the time. And I thought, oh, great. Well, let's like all have dinner together.
Don Johnson, O.J. Simpson. Wow.
Yeah, well, and Don was cool with it, but OJ didn't want to. And I later realized I couldn't understand why O.J. Simpson wouldn't want to have dinner with Don Johnson. But I think there was
Now,
a clash of the egos there, which I didn't understand at the time.
now Scarlett wants to see the picture again, Cody. So you can remove Head of the Class. We know how beautiful
Oh, you're
Christine
very good.
is,
Yes, let's
and
see
you
the
were
drawing.
also Tell me about Circus with the Stars. Did you have to? You did trapeze? Did they train you? How did that work?
No, I tried trapeze. I tried trapeze. That's why I went to the audition, was because I really wanted to do the trapeze. But once I got up,
Wait, you
on-
had to audition for Circus of the Stars?
yeah,
They didn't go,
it's-
she's some from ABC, just put her on?
no, you had to have some skill. Like, and you had, so I wanted to do the trapeze, so I went to the audition, and they have you climb up all the stairs, and you're with someone who's a trapeze master, but they're up at the top, and then they hand you that the thing, the little like swing, and you hold on to it, and then they push you out, and you swing out, and the guy goes whoop, and you're supposed to let go and fall 25 feet or 15 feet, whatever it was at the place, to the net. And I was terrified. I swung out, and I swung back, and I swung out. He said, hup, and I swung back, and I swung out a little less momentum. He said, hup, and I drifted back. He was like, you've got to let go. And I was like, I don't want to let go. I was so afraid. They had to coax me to let go of that little wooden bar. And I fell into the net, and I was like, no, it's not for me. And they said, okay, well, how about this? And they put me on a cable that was like a foot off the ground. And they said, try to walk across that. And so I did. I walked across what would be the tightrope. And they're like, great. And so then I got that. I didn't realize they were going to raise that tightrope up 30 feet.
Oh my God.
But I wasn't as afraid as I had been with the trapeze, because I never had to let go. I always had that rope underneath me. I had that, and I felt stable and at ease with it.
Wow, you have 3 comments. Wow, good intuition, Christine. Disaster avoided. It's hard as a young woman to be honest about your intuition. Yes, I commend you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I had a friend at the time who told me I was involuntarily honest, that I was honest without realizing what kind of position it was putting me in. But
because I'd be the type to go, oh, am I insult? Not that any OJ would have me go to a hotel, but yeah, I could see you don't want to insult them, but you didn't know. The truth came out.
yeah, I just couldn't help myself. He asked me the question, and my knee-jerk response was, I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid to be alone with you. So someone is saying, Jeff, that's very funny, from Howard Hessman to Ben Sullenberger. I love Ben. Howard was coming off of One Day at a Time. He did One Day at a Time, and he was on WKRP in Cincinnati. And it was WKRP in Cincinnati that I had been watching him on. And, he was Dr. Johnny Fever, and then he was the star ahead of the class.
Yeah. Wait, Jeff asked, did you get to meet Richard Pryor? Did he ever come to the set?
I did meet Richard Pryor with Rain just once, just briefly. Yeah, He really loves Rain. He really loved Rain and loves, as I assume the love continues on, even though he's not physically here. Rain has grown into such an incredible woman, and she's directing now. I think she might even be directing sitcoms.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's really a powerhouse.
Oh, earlier Jeff asked, yes, Tanis is Jim's daughter. Jim Vallely, I knew from New York. He was in a comedy team with a guy who ended up being very successful, Jonathan Schmuck, who I think created Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They were a very good-looking comedy team. They tried acting, but then they did well as sitcom writers. Christine, actually, I want to ask you. Al is from Baltimore. He says Rain ran for Baltimore.
She did. She ran for office, political office in Baltimore. I don't remember. I don't remember what she was running for, but I do remember her running.
Now, Christine, I meant to ask you. I know you crossed paths with Ron Zimmerman, and a lot of people. What made you start hanging out at the Improv? I know you knew a lot of people from there. How did that come about?
I used to. So I think it was because of Jimmy. When Jimmy and Jonathan would perform, I'd go and see them.
Because of Tanis.
Because of Tanis. Because Jimmy was on set, Jimmy had Tanis young. I think he was 20 when she was born. You know, he'd been a young dad, so there wasn't a huge age difference between. Even though he was her dad, he was older than me, obviously, but it wasn't. You know,
Right.
he'd been a young dad anyway. And it was Jimmy who introduced me to Ron Zimmerman. He really admired Ron and had said, you know, that he was like one of his mentors, or I don't know if he used the word mentor, but he really admired Ron and valued Ron's intelligence and comedy, and he just thought Ron was everything. And so that's how I met Ron Zimmerman. And I did go to the Improv to meet up with Ron. I went to the Improv to see Jimmy. I don't know who all, you know, Lily Hayden was my best friend from
That's right. You
seventh
met
grade.
her.
And Lotus Weinstock, her mom was, you know, the comedian's comedian. And so I'd been going to comedy clubs to see Lotus since seventh grade, because I would go, so Lily would often perform with her mom on stage. So you know, before even head of the class, I was in the comedy world because of Lily and
And
Lotus
that's why,
Weinstock.
who are some people besides Larry Miller you were friendly with from the Improv?
Oh God, I love Larry.
Yes.
Well, and that's let's see. I guess that's how I met. No, I met Doug Stanhope at the Improv because of Ron Zimmerman.
Mhm.
Who else? I don't know. A lot of people, and unfortunately, there's huge swaths of my life I don't remember. And I
Mhm.
didn't drink or smoke or do drugs or any of that stuff. So many things were happening all at once that I've lost just chunks of my memory
Yeah.
at that time.
And then you lived in New York, where it's like everyone, not everyone, but the big thing is the Law and Order franchises.
Yes, and those were fun to do. It was part of why I moved to New York. I wanted to be on Law and Order, and I got to work with Jerry Orbach and Sam Waterston,
Wow.
and Jesse Martin, who is very kind, gave me a Law and Order T-shirt. And Jerry Orbach is such a gentleman. You know, often when you're guest starring on a show, or it's your first episode, even if you're going to do a couple, like you're the outsider. They've got their groove, they've got their shorthand, they have their routine, you know, and you kind of show up as this interloper, and it can feel awkward. And my very first day, Jerry at lunch, they called lunch, and then Jerry just stopped me and wanted to make sure that I had someone to eat with and somewhere to go, so that I wasn't I know, isn't it sweet? I could cry. He just didn't want me to feel like I had to sit alone in my trailer and, you know, eat off a paper plate. He was really, really, really a conscientious actor.
Now, Jeff said Sam is 85. Speaking of Sam Waterston, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
A new friend of mine I met on Greg's movie. She lives in Montana, and she recommended some movie. I forgot what it's called, with Jeff Bridges, where Sam Waterston is an Indian, Native American. I forgot what it's called, but let me. Now, I love recommending movies to Cody. But people ask your favorite Woody Allen movies. There's different Woody Allen movies. There's comedies. I first discovered Jerry Orbach in Crimes and Misdemeanors, and he was amazing as a bad guy. He either played a cop or a thug, but I didn't know he was a Broadway song and dance guy in the Fantastics, a big big song guy. Did you know that, Christine?
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Know that. You know, but I didn't know, like, Sam Waterston had done Shakespeare in the Park, and I did not know that until, you know, we were talking about different acting work when I just waiting for them to light on Law and Order. And Jerry Orbach, I don't even know if I'd ever seen Dirty Dancing. I didn't realize he was the dad until after we worked together, which is so ridiculous. But I don't know. Jerry Orbach had quite the career. And
Christine, you got to see Crimes and Misdemeanors. Actually, we should do a movie night.
Yes, let's do a movie night.
You got to see Crimes and Misdemeanors. Jerry Orbach was very terrifying in it, and Martin Landau was in it, who I recommended to Cody to see. Was Ed Wood.
Mm.
So both Martin Landau and Jerry Orbach are in it. So Christine, old time. So could I tell? She does something really interesting today. Besides Christine staying creative and doing parts in movies and voiceover still, I like your side hustle. Can you tell them about the house you rent for movie sets?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I love being on set. I just love it. And I love working with everyone on set from every department. It's just my favorite place to be. I don't have to be in it. You know, I remember during the writer's strike years and years ago, not the most recent one, but I remember thinking like, there was a few movies that had still been greenlit, and I lived near Universal Studios, and I could see them working, and I was like, please just let me on set. What job could I do? Can I help craft service?
Great.
You know, I just want to be on set. And so I needed to rent out my house in LA, and I thought, well, maybe it has a lot of character. Maybe it would be cool in it for a film shoot, or with YouTube and Instagram and now TikTok. I didn't even know about TikTok, I don't think, at the time, but everyone is creating content, and they all need a place to shoot. So I started renting my house out, and it's been really fun for me because I'm on set. Whether I'm in it or not, I'm working with new filmmakers, you know, young and olds, and great actors, and it's just been really fun.
Well, what's great about the house is it looks like something from a Badlands, Martin Sheen, Sissy Spacek movie from,
That's right.
like anywhere USA, where there's a little porch and my cousin comes to the porch. It doesn't look like LA or 2000.
It doesn't look like LA, and I thought that was one of the selling points, that you could be anywhere else, you know, but just be right next to Warner Brothers Studios, right?
Yes, it's Ben Salenberg is speaking of. He shot like a house, like a little scene there, and it's speaking of serial killers. It was like the serial killer's house, and it's kind of shabby, but she could dress it for anything. So Christine,
yeah, you can go high or low with it, and we went low with the Cowboy Killer movie.
Yes. So I really admire Christine's passion, and she's sort of like Saul, where she's never really bitter about other people's successes or resentful. So you got like a great attitude.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
thank you.
Yeah, and she's I'd say follow her on Instagram. There's only one problem I have.
What's the problem?
Well, no, you are such a great animal advocate that your story.
I always post the dogs that need adopted. It's hard. Yeah.
My heart breaks. Where I went on my horse earlier. A friend of mine, her son got a dog from a breeder, and I don't want to be a jerk. I go, why would you do that in today's day and age? It's not just that you are not saving a dog that's been abused, abandoned, in a shelter about to die, that the mother dogs are kind of like enslaved. And so I don't have the courage to often. I got my cat from the Amanda Foundation, where if you don't have the heart to go to a shelter, they get them from the shelter, and then you adopt it, and they go to the shelter and have more openings. I know.
And Ron Zimmerman turned me on to the Amanda Foundation, and I had a stray dog. I took in a stray dog, and she was pregnant, and I didn't know what to do with all the puppies, and he helped me. The Amanda Foundation took a couple of them and got them adopted, and it was a real grace, beautiful thing they did.
And also,
I just want to say, there's someone. Did either of you work with comedian George Miller? There's a question
I
there.
never
I
worked
did.
with him. I crossed paths with him. He didn't really ever really do any acting, sitcom stuff. So I crossed paths with him once or twice. He was a signature comic of the 70s and some of the 80s.
Okay.
And Rob Schraub and Merrill Markle are huge animal advocates too. Yes, so was I got to know Sam Simon, who was one of the creators of The Simpsons. So
And he was a
um,
huge animal activist.
what's that?
He gave so much money for animal activism and safety.
Yes, and Christine came upon a litter of kittens without a mother, and one of them is thriving now. So we all
She's my
thank you.
baby. She's the love of my life, and I'm violently allergic to cats. If you notice, I'm chronically congested, but I'm just so in love with her. That's it.
Wait, I
I'm
think
just
Norm's
accepting
cat.
it.
I think one was called Kitty, and maybe was the other one Robert Norm's cats. I remember the tailless cat. Yes. So Ketsa. So let me, before I let you go, one other thing I always like to ask: who were some guest stars that crossed your paths? You were excited about or became famous. One of them asked you out on a date, and you thought he was dumb because he played a dumb guy.
You're the worst. You are never. Hey, everybody out there, never tell Fred anything that you don't want broadcast.
Well, can you say who that actor was?
He didn't ask me out. It was at the wrap party, and I did think he was gorgeous, but well, I didn't realize that he was flirting with me. Apparently, I don't know. This is so ridiculous to talk about, Fred. Oh my God.
But I'd like to visit that episode to see him before he made it. That would be fun.
It's embarrassing for me.
Okay.
He was very smart and very successful, but at the time he was not. We were working more than he was, and yet we were all rooting for him. Not that he needed it, but we did all want him to succeed because he was such a sweet guy, such a good guy, such a nice guy, really a super sweetheart. Brad Pitt guested on Head of the Class, and when he got Thelma and Louise, we were all just so joyful. We were like, yay. We just thought like, he finally got a big shot. Even though he had guested on other shows, we thought like, all right, he got his shot, Thelma and Louise. He certainly got his shot. And he kept at it.
Mike would
and now
know this.
who was the dummy? Me. I'm the dumb one.
Mike is
but it was my mom who said, why didn't you, he asked if he wanted to get together after the wrap party. And I said, she was like, he was asking you out. And I was like, nah, I don't think so, Mom. And she was like, yeah, he was. I was like, he just wanted to know if I wanted to get together. She was like, yeah, he was asking you out. Yeah, anyway, I was young and dumb.
Not asking you out, but any other people that guest starred on your show that made it big?
Nichelle Nichols guest starred on the show, from Star Trek. Uhura, from Star Trek.
No, I'm saying that made it big early in their career.
Say what?
Early in the career that made it big after Head of the Class. Any
other? I see. Versus showing up already famous and big. Oh my goodness. Well, I thought he was amazingly talented. I always said, you're so talented. You're so talented. John Cameron, who did Hedwig, and John Cameron Mitchell.
Oh, did he do this weird movie with real sex in it? I think I know who you mean.
Oh, I don't know. He did a movie called Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Okay, I thought he did this weird experimental movie called Short Bus. And
maybe. But he's on some TV show on HBO now. But I mean, he's had a huge career, huge career. And he's just incredibly gifted, and obviously, and at the time, I just couldn't believe how gifted he was and that he wasn't getting what I felt was as much work as he should be getting. He needed to be the star of his own show, not guesting on our show. So John Cameron Mitchell, Brad Pitt, let's see, who else was early in their career? Obviously, Ke Huy Quan, who was on the show.
I guess there's not a lot of guest spots because it's already crowded with a lot of students and
Uh,
and Howard
Tia
has
Carrera was on the show, I think. Tia was on the show, before she did Wayne's World.
you know what I liked about Howard Hessman's character, that he was the kind of sort of lonely bachelor, but kind of charming with a ponytail and have a date. And he tried theater, he did hair, he was nude, the kind of hippie-ish guy that, became a teacher. You know what I mean? I like that kind of character. And do you know, Lori
Yeah, you're
Petty?
absolutely right. Pikesville says Lori Petty. Yes, Lori Petty was on the show before she did a ton of stuff. Before
I think her break was A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own, but she was also, wasn't she in the movie with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves? She was in that also.
Oh, I know what you mean. They rob the surfers or skiers that rob.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I can't think of what that's called. And also Christina Elise was on the show before she also ended up being in A League of Their Own. She had a great role in that. And she was then on Melrose Place. She was then in the movie. She's in the Chucky movies with Jennifer Tilly. But Christina Elise was on our show, and she's such an incredible person. She does a lot. She works with a lot of animal rescue as well, and she does a lot of the Chucky stuff still. And she did the reboot for the Melrose Place, but she's just a first-class person.
Oh, by the way, I IMDb'd your friend. I was because I'm enjoying that Murdoch Murder in the Family.
Oh, you looked up Kathleen Wilhoit?
How do you say the name again?
Wilhoit. I don't know if I'm saying it either properly.
I know. Yes,
she's great.
What did you work with her on?
Excuse me, it's the cat. My very first after school special I did was called "Have You Tried Talking to Patty?" where I had to learn sign language. And I was like the good girl, and Kathleen was the bad girl. And there was a deaf girl that was Patty, who was the star of the show.
Wow. Have you talked to Patty? I never heard of that.
I was 14. It was an ABC or a CBS after school special. Have you tried talking to Patty? It was called.
So I'm not giving away a story now, but I was at some place, not the place where Robert Blake murdered his wife, that area, you know what I'm talking about.
Vitello's.
Someplace, and there was this really good looking guy, and then Christine staring at him. Oh, we were husband and wife, because I guess they were both models. So and you
that's
did a
right.
show.
I had done one of my first big modeling jobs was they took me to Charleston, South Carolina. And I was 15, but again, I was an emancipated minor, but I was the bride and he was the husband. Yeah. We were at a Roma Cafe.
Right. Fred's buddy, Richard Horvitz, was on. What show was that? I know.
Richard Horvitz. He was on Head of the Class. He played.
Oh, he was? I didn't know that.
Guest star. He guested as a guy who had a crush on me that wouldn't leave me alone. He wouldn't stop. He said one of his lines that he was like an alien right on my face, like from the movie Alien. Yeah, Richard was great. Yeah, I forgot. Yes, of course. And he's had such a huge career. And he was just on Broadway, Richard.
Richard Horvitz was on Broadway?
Just on Broadway. Yeah, just did a Broadway show. He has a huge voiceover career. And I don't know if he still is, but he was the voice of Toyota for many years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's had a brilliant career.
Now, I being your friend, I should know this, but the modeling, were you just like in a drugstore and someone said, I'm an agent, you should be a model? Like, how did that happen?
No. Well, okay. I had lived in Northern California. We moved to LA when I was 12 and a half. And, kids can be really cruel, as we know, when we're growing up, especially if you're different looking, or in my case, funny looking.
Cody. I mean, when you say kids can be cruel, but anyway.
But, so like in Northern California, I had been the only redhead in my entire school. And they called me Freckle Face and Carrot Top, and since kindergarten. And I remember in kindergarten saying, Carrot Tops are green. I just had to, have some comeback. But so I was mostly made fun of and kind of teased for my red hair and freckles growing up. And the kids in LA who who used to say, you're so tall and skinny, you should model. It just was such a weird thing to have them say anything positive, right? They weren't saying I was pretty. I was tall for my age. And I was kind of a gangly, preteen. And so when I was 13, my mom had told me that I needed to get a job if I wanted to go to the movies with my friends after school, or if I wanted to buy anything, I needed to get a job. And so I was like, oh, geez, okay. And she said, what do you think, you want to do? And I said, well, I was thinking of trying to model. She was like, where does this come from? I thought you'd apply at that gelateria on the corner. Gelato was new to LA at the time. And there was a place called Ciao Livio that had just opened. And so she thought that would be a good job for me. And I said, oh, well, I don't know, but the kids at school think, that I could do it. We didn't have any idea. She was like, well, what is it? And I was like, I'm not really sure. I would go to the library. This was 7th grade. I would go to the library at the school and get magazines. And I would read the editor, or I'd look through and be like, oh, George Marciano, this girl must know the guy who does the Guess jeans. I had no idea how modeling happened. But my mom knew someone that worked at Universal Studios, and she gave them my school picture, my 7th grade school picture, and said, please bring this to the casting director there. And they were like, you can't do that. She was like, just bring it to them and ask ask if he'll take a meeting with her. Well, don't you know, they took a meeting with me. They called me in, and I met with the one of the head casting directors at Universal Studios. And he asked, and I said, oh, well, I was thinking about modeling, but I don't really know how to do it. And he said, oh, well, yeah, there's an agent called Nina Blanchard. You should go meet her. Go to that agency and see if they'll take you. And I was like, all right. So I went I was 13. They had an open call. They would have open call a couple times a week. And so I went. And I was someone greeted me in the waiting room, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll have Janelle talk to you. And this woman, Janelle, who happened to be Nina Blanchard. Nina Blanchard was a big modeling agency in California at the time. And so she said, oh, well, we don't take anyone under 18. But if you, and you can't just show up without photos, we need to see what you photograph like. So if you'll go get pictures taken and come back, we can talk to you about your future. And they don't have to be professional photos. You could just have someone take pictures of you in the park or something. But we've got to see how you photograph. So get some pictures and come back, and we'll talk to you about the future. So I said, okay. Well, my older brother had gone to CalArts, and he'd fallen in love with a girl who became a runway model in Paris. She ended up leaving him for some photographer she met in Paris. And now neither guys were with the model, Jane, but both guys were friends. So my mom said, hey, to my brother and Christine, they told Christine she's got to get pictures. And so he said, oh, I'll ask George if he'll take the pictures for her. Well, it turns out George was a high fashion photographer. But I went to his studio. It was the first time I'd ever worn makeup. They took these pictures. George was French. So while he was developing the photos, an agent from France came to visit him, and he saw the proof sheets. And so he called and asked if I would come to Paris. And I said, I'm in 8th grade. I can't come because by then it had been however many months had passed. I said, I can't. He's like, oh no, it's not a problem. You come with your mother, and you have an apartment, and you learn to speak French. We have a tutor for the model. And we just thought it was, kind of uncanny. And so my mom told them, well, maybe in the summertime. This was January, I think 1982, maybe. But But anyhow, and I really wanted to go, but my mom didn't want me to miss any school, and we had to figure out how she and I could go. And they kept calling and asking. They called every couple of days to see when we would come to Paris. And my best friend, Karen Manpearl, was visiting and was, just over at my house. And she said, Mrs. Hodge, what's going on? And my mom said, oh, they want Christine to model in Paris. But I told them, she could go in the summer. And my friend said, I'm sure there's a lot of girls who want to model in Paris. What if they don't want her in the summer? And my mom said, oh, I never thought of that. So we talked to my school, and this was, before the internet, but we worked out, they came up with a plan. My main classes, some of the other electives and some of the other classes didn't work it out, and that was hard for me. But the science, the history, science, English, math, they came up with like a what would we call it? A curriculum that I could do on my own for 6 weeks. And so by Valentine's Day, my mom and I we woke up on Valentine's Day on Avenue de Villiers in Paris. And then I modeled in Paris for a few months. And then we went back to LA, and then I went back to Paris. And in the meantime, before I went to Paris, I went back with those photos to Eileen Ford. And this time, whoever met me said, oh, sorry, we don't take anyone, your age. And so you'll have to come back when you're 18. And I said, come back when I'm 18. They're like, yeah, well, you're too young. We don't represent anyone your age. I said, I was here before, and I met with Janelle, and she told me to get pictures. I got pictures, and I'm back. I would like to speak with Janelle. I said, oh, well, excuse me. Janelle isn't in today, but I'll see if someone will talk to you. And then it's a fun story, but ultimately Eileen Ford looked at my pictures and started calling everyone in the agency over. And then she wanted to sign me, but I'd already been asked to go to Paris. I said, well, I'm going to Paris, but I'll come in when I come back. So when I got back from Paris, I worked with, not Eileen Ford, I keep saying Eileen Ford, Nina Blanchard. I worked with Nina Blanchard. And then Nina called me into the office and said, I want you to meet with someone. And it was Eileen Ford. And Eileen was there to find what she called her summer girls. So when I was 15.
That sounds like a movie, Summer Girls.
Summer Girls, yeah.
About the models in Paris.
Exactly. Well, Eileen then took underage girls, became their legal guardian. And
I was a summer girl. That sounds like a term that would be in a movie.
Yeah. So I lived with Eileen Ford for the summer. I lived in New York, and
you gotta hear my
amazing.
Eileen Ford story. I have one, which is so ridiculous.
Let's hear it.
I actually do. Well, someone, I don't remember, like you said, you think memories are cloudy or blocked out, but someone said, I was really skinny. I was much skinnier than this. Models, I don't know if they said you should be a model because you're skinny. I don't remember, or models are skinny, but you should, how would I know what Eileen Ford was? Go to Eileen Ford, because they like tall, skinny people, and they could be models. I went, all right. So I found out where it was. It was 17. And I wore really tight, like pinkish pants and a really tight shirt.
Do you remember her office? Her office was by the. It was
like by
Roosevelt's, by the tram.
I thought it was like by where you could see Brooklyn, or like like Queens. It was kind of.
It was for the tram to Queens.
Yes, it was right by the
Roosevelt
water,
Island, I should say. Yeah.
Yes. So I go in the office. I see the receptionist. They go, what? Yes. I go, I'd like to be a model. And they said, do you have any pictures? I went, no. They went, well, come back. All right. I never did. But they must have thought I was some guy like Midnight Cowboy right off the bus, and going to be straight to porn or
you
something.
You were gorgeous and tall and thin. You should have taken pictures just like I did. And gone back, you never would have known.
I never was model worthy. Come on, but it's ridiculous, But I thought all you have to do is be skinny. Oh, I'm skinny. But you heard the other Substack story. I did with Cody about the Bowie movie. Did you read that or hear that one?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Okay, so what happened was, it was 1981, I believe, and I was hanging out at comedy clubs since '78 and not really getting anywhere. And then I was with the Peter Byland Agency. They were a commercial agency that, used a lot of stand-ups. This guy, Uncle Dirty, Robert Altman, not that one. His wife was an agent there and brought a lot of comics in. So then they heard about a movie called The Hunger, where David Bowie movie, where they needed skinny people to be in the end where they come out as ghouls or monsters. And to backstory this, when I was in high school, I asked out this woman, not very attractive. I had no confidence. This is a shocker. And I thought, let me ask out what I thought was the most desirable girl, because no one will go out with me. She goes, "You're too skinny. Maybe if you gain 15 pounds, I'll consider." And so I always had a complex about being skinny, no woman will want me. So then here's an opportunity. Somehow I got down to the finals of this David Bowie movie called The Hunger, where it's so long ago where we had to wear leotards, walk around, stop.
Oh God.
I don't remember. And there was like a real gangly, really tall, skinnier than me. And then I could be wrong, but I thought whoever gets this was going to be flown to London, which they were. And I thought they said 6 months. It must have been 6 weeks. But even that, because I finally saw the movie, I couldn't watch it for a while. Why would they be 6 months? But I thought, a David Bowie movie, you're going to be in London, So then they called off like a chorus line. Da-da-da, da-da, Fred Stoller, you could all go home. Da-da-da, the rest of you go to London, pack up. So all my life I was too skinny. And then there comes a time when I wasn't skinny enough. That I didn't.
Damn it all to hell.
Yeah, we did a Substack story about that. But basically, yes, that was my modeling things. Going to the Eileen Ford agency. Yeah, I remember vividly what the waiting room was like. Like, you're right, it's right by Roosevelt. It's just, yeah, and then she looked at me like, this guy's just right off the bus. This guy, just a guy.
I mean, I was right off the bus. I had no idea. I showed up with no pictures, and they said the same thing. They're like, "You need photos. Like, you need pictures of you. So what do you look like?" She actually told me, "You look fine in person, but we have to see how you photograph." And I thought, "Oh, all right, well, that makes sense."
No, but I have many regrets in life. One of them I don't have is that I didn't pursue a modeling career. That's not one of my regrets. But these people are universe where Fred Stoller. I have trouble imagining the alternate universe where Fred Stoller is a male model. Yes, that's not one of those could-haves. But but that's the thing about youth, Christine, is that I was starting to talk with Saul. People sometimes go, "I'm 45. Could I still be a comic? I'm 38. Could I be an actor?" And I hate to generalize, but the thing is, when you're young, you don't know that it's the most competitive thing in the world, and you're willing to, like I did, hang out every night at the Improv till 3 a.m, take the train back to Sheepshead Bay. So I think part of success is being in the trenches, and when you're older, it's hard to hang out and do all that stuff. I don't know why.
You also have more bills and more responsibilities and more fatigue. I still never plan on being tired, and yet I get exhausted and can't do the thing I thought I was going to do.
Yeah,
and I just didn't have that when I was younger. I could because I was just in public school, and because I was an emancipated minor, I didn't have I never had a tutor or any of that on set. I just had to figure it out myself. And so I could stay up all night, study for something, finish my term paper, and show up on set and still, do what I couldn't do that now. Now, of course, I don't. Tell me what.
When you're younger, you don't know the odds against you, and you just go all in. You don't
Oh,
process.
absolutely. I always tell people if I'd known what the odds were, I never would have tried it.
Or
I'm
when
not an idiot. If I'd known how hard it was, I wouldn't have bothered.
or when people, now I'm the old guy, when people say, I want to be a stand-up, I want to be a comedy writer, I'm going, why the F would you want to do that? But, but when you're younger, it's just like, well, I was at the point to know, I've said this before, I knew the real world wasn't for me, but that's why my mother freaked out. I was this pathologically depressed and shy guy, and I quit college to be a comedian. And comedians back then were like Buddy Hackett, hey, how you doing? Here's $1, hey, jumping up and down, and it made no sense to her. And I understand it made no sense. I wasn't funny, but I just knew that's a way and hang out at comedy clubs and maybe someone will see me and put me in a sitcom. So yeah, so
Comedy
it's sort
club
of like,
used to be the best place to hang out.
now
I
there's so many different well, it's sort of like like as a kid in sports, you don't know if you suck, you go, I want to be the shortstop, you don't doubt yourself. So that's, and I was telling before you were here, Saul, that I don't know how Greg Pritikin does it. He's in his 50s. He goes, you want to go to the Beverly, see the midnight showing of this movie? And I don't see midnight movies. You get out 3, 2. And so, yeah, that's why youth is a factor. Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
That's right. Thank God I didn't know how hard it was going to be, or what the chances were. I went in so innocently, and I also, because I was young, I felt like, well, what does it matter if I don't make it? I'll go to college, or I'll get this job, or I'll become an archaeologist like I had to, which was probably as unrealistic as anything else. I just felt like there was so much potential.
I knew there were no other options for me in the real world. I remember when I was 18, I think I saw a Chorus Line, and it was showing how brutal it was. And I still said, I still want to do it. Yeah. Not be in Broadway, but so when you're young, you have that blind ignorance. And I gotta go. Thank you, Eli. Eli's mom is a comedy writer who wrote on like Joey Lawrence had a sitcom with I forgot who, with from
Bialik or whatever it was called, Blossom.
No, he had one with Sabrina.
Jim Valley was going to do a sitcom with Joey Lawrence, and I think he did actually.
Oh, he did double
in the '90s. Was that Joey's thing? Yeah.
They had Joan and Joey and Joan, something like that. She was Melissa and Joey, from. But thank you, Eli. He's a very talented animator, and I did a little short for him. So Christine, we gotta. What was I called you? Where did I end up? I went back to Bell's Bagels.
Oh,
Melissa Joan Hart. Yes, I was. I did 2 episodes of Sabrina, and Eli's dad was a writer on Friends and Mad About You. I remember he was a young guy on Mad About You, a young writer. So it's a crazy world, the sitcom writing. Any other questions for Christine before I let her go? I was saying earlier, Christine, the problem with dogs is I have the luxury of sleeping all day as it's raining with the cats on me. With the dogs, I guess you got to let them out, huh?
Oh yeah, dealing with them in the rain, in this pouring rain, and them having to go to the bathroom, and my one sweetheart who just does not like to get her paws wet. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Jeff asked, Christine, are you still the queen of the California Strawberry Festival?
Yes, Jeff knows his stuff. Oxnard, California has a strawberry festival. And one year I was the queen. I still have the T-shirt, but
Oh my
alas,
God.
I don't still hold the title.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was Dan Frischman. Me and Lonnie saw him do a one-man show. You saw that, right, Christine?
Yes, absolutely. God, he was so good in that.
His voice sounded
Hugo.
different, very gruff. What was it called? Julio?
Hugo. It's an old play. It's a known play, but yeah. Well, I think he just made that choice as an actor. He went with kind of a rougher kind of a thing.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
was great. It was unexpected.
Scarlett doesn't like rain. It gets my clothes. Oh, I love it. I love the pitter patter. I love it. Oh, it's just I'd rather.
We have to tell Scarlett that my dog who doesn't like the rain is Scarlett. Her name is Scarlett too.
Oh, Scarlett in Brooklyn.
That's right. That's right.
Have some dude as the queen now.
They may. As well they should.
It's any other last questions for Christine, who I'm glad you finally took the time to talk with us. I just love a lot of these people love old time character actors, old sitcoms. So you have great stories about now Christine was on Studio 5 of the Warner Brothers lot, which is the first one in, and I remember that's where we did Everybody Loves
Raymond?
Raymond.
Yeah, stage 5. And while Matthew Perry came to the taping of the pilot of Head of the Class on stage 5 at Warner Brothers, Friends taped their pilot on stage 5. He did not invite me, I must say.
Well, I remember,
and then later, I think they ran on stage 25. I'm not sure, stage 25 or 24, but.
Well, Warner Brothers, I remember the Friends lot was very heavy with security because maybe the women had stalkers. So you could not just open that soundstage and walk in. Some of them you could, like Drew Carey, would come say hi, and Norm. But I used to like, I used to like working on studio lots, the commissary. Like I'd see people from Nightport. I'd see people from Murphy Brown I worked with. I'd see,
That's how I met Julia Roberts, was at the commissary at Warner Brothers. She was doing Flatliners. She was so sweet, so lovely, and so in love with Kiefer Sutherland at the time. Yeah. And I had been asked to screen test for Lost Boys, but I had gotten Head of the Class, and Head of the Class producers wouldn't let me test for it.
God damn.
So I always looked at Kiefer Sutherland like I could have been the Jamie Gertz role. Now, who knows if I would have actually gotten it, but not being able to test for it was a real kick in the teeth in my young tender heart at the time. But yeah, it was always sweet to see Julia and Kiefer on, in and around, because Flatliners shot near us as well.
Yeah, I used to see, like I say, the Night Court people. Was Night Court shooting on the Warners when you were there?
It was, and we were friends. Faith Ford and I sort of came up together. So I got Head of the Class right before she got Murphy Brown. Like we got it within the same pilot season, I think. And so we used to, and Murphy Brown shot next door to us. So we used to go next door all the time to see Faith and Grant, and it was awesome. Was that maybe stage 4?
Oh, yeah, I did a few Murphy Browns. This may be after your time, Christine, but Warner Brothers lot was famous for the what's it called, the basketball games where ER would play.
ER, George and Noah would go out there. Yep.
And
it was kind of after my time, but I remember that talk of it.
Also, another great player was Urkel from Family Matters. He was on the Warner Brothers lot. And David Arquette, because he was married or dating Courtney Cox from Friends. So I would just, on my breaks, I was on Warner's in those old days off, and Norm Show was there. I did 3 episodes of Christina Applegate, has a sitcom called Jessie. So I'd always see at the basketball courts George Clooney, ER and Urkel, and I think Norm played there. Norm Show was there, and David Arquette was playing there. So that was always fun. I watched Lost Boys on Halloween. I never saw any Goonies.
Oh,
stuff.
oh, you gotta watch Goonies. And
I
and
guess
Ki
I'm just
Hui
a little
Kwan is
old.
in Goonies.
Who was in it?
Ki Hui Kwan, who was on Head of the Class, who was in the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, I guess I was probably a little bit older to get into Goonies when it came out. Maybe if you're in teens, high school, early 20s, maybe I was a little
Yeah,
older. I don't remember. But it's the Warner Brothers lot, and they
the
and
Warner
then
Brothers lot. Before now, you have to have everything has an NDA, and you have to have a laminate, and everything's a closed set. But in those early days, again with this whole ignorance is bliss thing, I would when it would be a slow as an ensemble cast. I didn't. Sometimes I didn't have a lot, I had to do, and so if they were going to rehearse a few scenes in a row that I wasn't in, I would go wander around the lot. I would go to the security
yes,
guards and see what was shooting where. And I remember one time that I saw postcards from look, Meryl Streep. She's on stage 25. And I just walked over, opened the door, watched them
wow,
film the scene. And Carrie Fisher, was
get
on
out of
set.
here. I never stumbled upon movies. It was always just sitcoms, and
I was so freaking brazen. I was like, oh, Mrs. Streep always wanted to meet you. She was like, oh, okay. Like it was so inappropriate. Shame on me. But I didn't know. I had no idea how wrong I was. But it's such a beautiful memory to have been on Postcards from the Edge on just there. I remember the director came out and she was like, excuse me, you are? I was like, oh, hi, I'm Christine. I work on
another
Stage 5. And I saw you guys
another
on set.
Another great lot was Radford. I remember before I got to be friends with George Siegel from the Farmers Market table, I'd see past him. He was doing Just Shoot Me. They had Third Rock from the Sun. They had the Larry Sanders Show, Seinfeld. I remember seeing Billy Bob Thornton because he was on a show with a guy who died, nice short gay guy, Leslie Jordan, I think his name was. He was on
That's him, Leslie Jordan. Leslie Jordan was a sweetheart.
was it
Yeah, he
Delta
passed.
and Billy Bob Thornton was on not evening shade. Maybe it was that, I forgot. But yeah, so one time, what's his name? Jon Stewart was doing a guest spot on Larry Sanders. Hey, John, and he starts applauding because what's his name walked by from Monty Python. I guess John Cleese was doing a guest spot on Third Rock from the Sun. So I just loved, well, I one time I saw Brett Butler sitting with Roseanne Barr and two crazy people. I mean, and Roseanne was banging the sugar because the sugar wouldn't come out, smashing it. So
But,
you'd
we
see
were
all
the
these
lead-in. We were the lead-in to Roseanne when we first came on, and every Friday night they taped Friday nights at Radford, and we taped Friday nights at Warner Brothers. But after the taping, the whole cast would go out to dinner with some of the crew members, and we used to go to Pietro's. Do you remember George Pietro had that restaurant right off on Radford? Do you remember
No, I
that?
remember. I don't think I know. Well, Radford was that diner we once went to, that Jinkies. And on the other side, when I worked on Seinfeld as a writer, I would leave the lot and play pinball across the street. There was a little taco place, but I don't remember that restaurant.
Well, the Roseanne, often Friday nights, it would be the Roseanne cast and the Head of the Class cast, and we'd all be at George Pietro's having dinner. And Roseanne was always really lovely.
She was
it
lovely.
Yeah, the very first season, she was always, she was just kind of like amazed that her stand-up got her this show. In the very beginning, I don't know about later, but I just know Friday nights were always so fun after taping, going to dinner and meeting
Wow.
up with the other casts. I mean, these were just kind of magic times. You don't get that now,
No. The
It
lots,
doesn't,
like,
even if you're on a show, which is still an amazing, incredible thing to be on. That everyone going out to dinner afterwards and meeting up with
like I said,
another cast of another hit TV show.
I never liked the Sony lot. When you audition, you have to park like 9 stories up and walk. I'd always get lost all the way to the end. The Fred Astaire building, it was always a little, I never liked the Culver City lot. But the magic of, like I said, Warner Brothers and Radford, just the classic sitcoms. Like I said, Roseanne, so many were done on the Radford lot.
Yeah,
Also,
Third Rock. You were
Yeah.
saying, I remember going to a taping of Third Rock, a couple of tapings. My boyfriend in real life at the time was playing a boyfriend of one of the cast members on Third Rock. That was fun.
yes, yes. No, I would, yeah, just walking around. And also in Radford, at the other end, they did that 70s show. But I
I
remember,
think A Different World shot at Radford because that was on when the class was on, and some of them had auditioned for Head of the Class and vice versa. And I remember I was friends with Penelope Ann Miller at the time, and so I used to go. I would take a friend or another castmate, and we'd go watch a taping of A Different World. I think that was on Radford, and I remember going into Lisa Bonet's dressing room, and there was this guy Romeo Blue in the dressing room, and they'd secretly gotten married. He later changed his name to, or went back to his original name of Lenny Kravitz.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, on the Paramount lot, you'd see people in Star Trek. Oh, this is so one time I was at the Warner Brothers lot, and I'm in the commissary. Oh, poor guy. He's got like a head injury, like he had a Band-Aid around his head and blood. But then I realized he was just an extra from ER. And they say, don't take it off, just have lunch. They'd have the, yeah, I don't know where Stan Hooper was shot, Al, but I remember the Norm Show was shot on Warner Brothers. And there was like, also on Warner's, I did Suddenly Susan, Veronica's Closet, and Drew Carey show I did on Warner's.
Wasn't Drew Carey at Radford?
No, that was Warner Brothers. I think like they used to have like a guy like Bruce Helford ran Norm and also Drew Carey, so he would just go from one to another. But yeah, no, that was and Suddenly Susan.
Must be nice. Yeah,
was
Suddenly
next to
Susan.
Veronica.
Remember my friend, my beloved Frank Pace. He was on Head of the. He was line producing on Head of the Class, but then he was on Murphy Brown, and then he was on Suddenly Susan, and Frank is just a powerhouse. But that was why I went to Suddenly Susan. I think was because Frank Pace, one of our producers, was doing it.
I don't think Alan Merrill was on Norm. I don't remember that, but yeah, it was pretty special. Just bumping into people. But I do love the Las Palmas lot because it's very intimate. That's where they mostly do those silly Nick, those kind of very broad Nick and Nickelodeon shows or Disney, like what's it called? Selena Gomez.
The Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yes, there's a little lot. It's a little like by Santa Monica and Las Palmas. It's kind of grungy. But yeah,
Isn't that where? What was that show that we were just talking about? That Joey and Vinny or whatever. What was the Ron Zimmerman show that you worked on that I was fired from?
That was actually on the Gower Gulch thing. That was like
it was Sunset Gower Studios.
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard. They did Nickelodeon shows there. Yeah, Fred and Vinny that's what they did. Married with Children, same producers, and yes, that was like Sunset Boulevard, right by where they have a place called Waffle. You know that restaurant, a diner.
Waffle Van. Hey, Jeff is saying, wasn't Santa Pietro married to Vanna White? Yes, he was. Or Vanna was married to him at the time.
Oh, okay. I don't know who Santa.
I don't know. This says Penelope was Stan's Fire. I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, maybe that was Norm's other show, Stan Hooper, which I never saw. That was like he was trying to do a show like Green Acres. Also, on the Radford lot, they used to have something, the Lagoon. They since paved it over, where they had the Gilligan's Island Lagoon still there.
Yes, they had the Gilligan's Island Lagoon. I remember just being, again, totally kind of starstruck with the being able to walk past the lagoon from Gilligan's Island. I mean,
Yes.
I love TV. I grew up loving television and loving those characters. I still do. I still think it's just a whole magical, it's just magic.
Yeah, it's different now because we love the old-fashioned kind of, sitcom like Mary Tyler Moore. Now it's it's too real, where it is not these broad guest. Another lot I liked was it's a little lot. Actually, where they did Norm's podcast. It's INCE the
Uh-huh.
lot. It's a little
Yeah.
intimate lot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's in Culver City. It's actually was Gone with the Wind. David O. Selznick, he created that studio there. But yeah, the nanny shot at that lot.
That's why I did 4 episodes of Nanny. That's where I also did a show no one saw. Gregory, what's his name? Gregory, I can't think of names. Gregory Hines had a sitcom, and I did my Mad About You in that. It's called Inslot.
I don't know how to pronounce it. INCE.
Yes.
Used to be. It's now Amazon Studios is there and something else.
Oh, Cody got busted. Al said you're putting yourself in a Hanukkah card. This guy right here.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. In some ways, it's not fun being on a studio lot because you feel like a cog in a wheel. But when it's intimate and you're just walking by and seeing Candice Bergen, or actually, on Warner Brothers, that's where I did Lois and Clark. I did a little part as a bellboy.
Speaking of being a cog in the wheel, a friend of mine was just on The Comeback. Lisa Kudrow, like every 10 years, she does another season of The Comeback Girl or The Comeback Kid or The Comeback. I'm not at Warner Brothers, and they happened to be there when it wrapped, and they were saying how embracing the cast and crew was of everyone. Like even they treated the background, as we know, can often be mistreated or ignored, just like they were regular cast members. They were saying they couldn't get over the level of camaraderie and generosity. And it probably comes from, down from Lisa Kudrow. I would imagine she sets that tone. I don't know her at all. And maybe it's the producers and the writers and everyone is just like that. But they were describing like just how amazing that being there the day it wrapped for the season. And boy, did it make me miss our wrap days, nights.
Yes.
Times. When the show is operating like a family, a chosen family, like how our friends are, there's really nothing better than that type of camaraderie. And again, of course, we've been cogs in the wheel and we've been outsiders and we've been, I remember guesting on a show and the director called an actors meeting and I went to it and everyone looked at me like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, oh, sorry. I was so used to being kind of included. It didn't dawn on me that I was just guesting that week and was not who they were talking to.
Yeah, it's good when it's good. Cody, I'm wondering, should I let you go because you work today? Did you work 8 hours today? Your job?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cody worked, and now we've been on a few hours.
This drawing is amazing, Cody.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate it. And also,
oh my God, it's awesome.
What's that, Cody?
No, I love hearing you guys talk about all.
No, I always ask when I'm wrapping it up, Cody. Do you have any questions for Christine?
Well, here's a question. What's your favorite sitcom when you were growing up?
Oh, my favorite sitcom growing up. I loved the Valerie Bertinelli. Was it One Day at a Time?
Oh, well, that's Valerie Harper. Yes.
But Valerie Bertinelli was the daughter, and Mackenzie.
Bonnie Franklin. Mackenzie
yes, Bonnie Franklin, and then there was the guy who played the super.
Pat Harrington.
Yes. I love that. I was a big fan of Valerie Bertinelli. I wanted to grow up and be like Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah,
So much
that's
so,
cool.
she was on the cover of People magazine in an Angora sweater. It had to be like 1979 or something. I don't know. And I
Right.
promptly, my mother brought me to a thrift store, and I got myself an Angora sweater and wore it and dreamed that I would someday, get to meet Valerie Bertinelli.
That was a great story about crashing the set of Postcards on the Edge.
Oh my God. That was so brazen and inappropriate. And I had no idea. I was just fully enamored and completely innocent.
What about favorite cartoon as a kid? Let me see if I
Ooh,
could go
there's a good
first. I liked Fat Albert for a while. That was on Saturdays. That was like I didn't like the Flintstones because I thought Fred was a bully to Barney. I felt bad for Barney. I like Archie. Everything's Archie. What about you, Christine?
I love the Flintstones. I love the Flintstones and the Jetsons.
Oh, I love Peanuts, but that wasn't a regular show.
Right. No,
But-
like for watching cartoons, I always wanted to see the Flintstones. And because I loved the Honeymooners. I used to watch the reruns of the Honeymooners as a little kid. And when I was even younger, my stepdad used to let me stay up late and watch Bilko with him. When I was
Oh, yeah.
4 years old, I was staying up late to watch Bilko.
I
I
lost.
don't know if
can you
anyone
see
remembers
me?
that. Fred Silverstein?
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah.
No, Phil Silvers.
Phil Silvers was
Let me-
and I just thought that was so great. So, but not a lot of 4-year-olds are staying up late to watch a black and white sitcom, but I was.
Nice.
Now, Bilko,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
cool.
confused. A friend of mine, I should have her on. Her dad was Carl Ballantyne. That was on McHale's Navy.
Uh-huh.
Ernest Borgnine. And can you see me? I lost the picture only because I opened the tab by accident. But those. And we're gonna have hopefully Ronnie Shell, who was on Gomer Pyle. But I can't read. I lost the picture. But any last questions for Christine? Can you read, you guys?
Let's see. We've got the cartoon one.
Thank you, Cody, for letting us blab on and on while you make a masterpiece.
No,
Yeah, it's a fantastic time. I'm really enjoying what we're doing here. Hearing you guys talk and everything.
I love. I'm an old guy, like old time actors, old time sitcoms. The magic of, it's a different time now. It's all streaming and gritty, and I like the old fashioned comics, and like that was great. Saul produced the Smothers Brothers, and it's inspiring how positive he is. So we will, Christine, we'll get together. I think maybe Crimes and Misdemeanors would be a good one to see.
Jerry Orbach, bring it on.
Yes. Have you seen it, Christine?
Not that I know of. No, I don't believe so. I
Okay.
might have seen a little piece of it when I was younger, but I don't recall.
And Cody, again, little by little, this is what I'm putting Substack aside for the foreseeable future because I want to do this. And thank you for the work, Cody.
You're welcome, Fred. Thank you for the all of this.
Yes.
Making it happen.
When you tell me a little bit in advance, I could guide someone like Saul. So usually it's spontaneous. So, and Christine, we finally did it, and it's as great, better than I thought it was going to be because I love your stories, even though I narked on you about Brad Pitt. And,
Oh my God.
It's funny. I've been seeing a lot of Brad Pitt lately in some movies I've been recently watching.
Did you ever see 12 Monkeys?
No.
Oh, I like that a lot.
He's gifted. Look, he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he's I don't like those heist movies. I don't care about Ocean.
Oh, all the Ocean's movies.
I don't care about a lot of good-looking, charming people ripping. Oh yes, casinos aren't good, but I don't care about these.
Hey, we've got people on the thread here who are itching to go watch SNL. So
okay, all right. Well, we'll let them go. This was a lot of fun, And
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for indulging in all my silly
All right,
history here.
I lost my tab, so you shut it off, Cody. And good
Sounds
night,
good.
everyone. This was a lot of fun. Oh,
Good night, everybody. Stay
Night
safe
now.
out there. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Kristen.
Take care.
See you.